everyone. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Movies podcast with me, John, and David, aka Shamrock Balls. And then we are back for part two on our conversation for 1995's Heat. And David, obviously, we got into all the pre production and everything last week. So we're just going to go right into the movie. So, where did we leave off?
Yeah, let's just get straight into this, John. So we left off when Vincent Hanna has just pulled over Neil Macaulay in his car, and he says to him, "What do you say I buy you a cup of coffee?" And Neil says, "Yeah, sure, let's go." And Vincent says, "Follow me." So we now are going into the infamous cafe scene where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are face to face for the very first time in movie history. And of course, they did act in a film together in 1974 in The Godfather Part 2, but they were never ever seen on screen together. So this is our first time. And I remember when this movie came out in the mid 90s, that's what all the talk was about.
No, that was the biggest deal. It was these two heavyweights, almost like heavyweights in boxing, meeting on the
Yeah.
screen for the first time. And it feels it like the first time I watched this movie, it feels big because they keep, first of all, for the fact that everyone knows that they were in The Godfather 2 together. Pacino didn't win an Oscar, but De Niro did, which is hysterical. And they go all these years, 21 years without ever appearing on screen together. And even halfway through this movie, we don't see them on screen together. It's really building up in the film, like these two going face to face and finally sitting down with each other, and it feels epic.
Yeah, it certainly does. And you know what, just as we kind of pinpointed for doing the show. I mean, this movie's near 3 hours long. We pinpointed like it just so happened that the hour and a half mark, halfway through the movie, is exactly where these two guys sit down and face off against each other. Yeah, as you say, it's what everybody was kind of talking about, and it's almost like you said about boxing. It's like they do a thing in boxing now. You know, I don't know if you watch boxing. I watch it now and again, and the build up to the fight, they have what they call a face off, and it's
Yeah.
like two boxers sitting across the table with a moderator in between, asking questions about their character and asking questions about the two fighters.
Like how they
As
train and everything, like, their career leading up to this moment, like all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that kind of thing, exactly. And just kind of look, especially if it's a rematch or something about maybe what they've done to them the last time and what's going to be different this time and how you're going to beat this. If there's one guy who's undefeated or seems unbeatable, it's like, well, how are you going to beat this guy? Or if one's the champion and one of them's not the champion, and it's kind of very similar to how this goes down, because this whole conversation, it is a getting to know you conversation between the two guys, even though they've both kind of scoped each other out previously, as we've seen in the first part here we done. So they are aware of each other, but it's all superficial. Whereas this is now getting to kind of know each other. And as the conversation kind of unfolds, you find out that, as we said in the first part of the episode, or the first part of Heat, is that they're basically two, as I keep saying, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, as you said in the first part, I really liked is in the scene, a couple scenes before this, where they're looking at each other and how Neil's in like that inverted image of the color. So he's the
Yeah.
inversion of him, or the criminal version of the same person. Like essentially, they have very similar philosophies on life, and we kind of see it throughout the movie. But this is them actually sharing with each other their outlook on life and how it's similar. But when it all comes down to it, we still have a very big key difference.
Well, the thing is, like you're saying, their philosophies in life, basically their philosophies are the same.
Mm-hmm.
As we said in the last episode, they're just in a different business. So I like that line that Neil says. Have you noticed that Neil is a wee bit more obviously defensive, being the crook?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so asks him about his time in prison. And he says to him, "Are you looking to become a penologist?" Which is very funny. But he says, Al Pacino says back to him, or Vincent says back to him, "You're looking to go back,"
He says
and
no.
that's what he says. "I'm never going back," which is a very important line that we'll get to later on. And he tells him, "Well, don't take down scores." And he says, "Well, that's what I do best. I take scores." And he says to Vincent, "You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me." So right away, it's kind of like when I listen to a guy called Michael Francis, who's I don't know if you're aware of Michael Francis. I listen to his podcast sometimes. He's a very famous ex mobster, and he has no animosity at all towards Rudy Giuliani or the RICO Act or any of the guys, the FBI guys that brought him down, because he's kind of like, listen, he's that philosophy. He's like, we were the bad guys, but we were doing what we had to do, or right, and they were the good guys, but they were doing what they had to do, and we just had to be a little bit better than what we done to outsmart them. So I hold no animosity towards them, and that's basically, I think, what Neil's saying here.
Yeah, he basically lays it out that it's like, it's nothing personal. And he's like, I can, even they build respect through this conversation for each other, even more going in, but they make it so clear that it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, if it comes between, just you and me, I won't hesitate. And the fact that Neil even says,
there's a flip side to that coin.
if I get backed into a corner and I need to shoot my way out, I won't hesitate either. And it's a mutual respect about that, even though there's the possibility that other people could die, in this situation.
Yeah, you're right, John. And the thing is, as well, is that I like how he says to him about, so you never wanted a regular type life. And that lady says about, what the fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games? And Vince is just honest with him. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Because he knows, like, that's the stereotypical regular life, which I feel like Vincent always wanted, but he doesn't have the mindset for it. That's why he keeps trying with marriages, whereas Neil never did.
He never did. And the thing is that I will get to this. I have a note on this. But he tells him straight. I love how honest they are with each other. And I feel as if maybe Vincent's being honest with him to break down this facade that he comes in with, this kind of, I'm a tough guy, you're a cop, I don't have to answer your questions. He's being very evasive originally, Neil. But as the conversation goes on, to become a wee bit more honest with each other. Very similar, funny, because as I told you before we started recording, I was just doing a wee run through on our Jaws podcast earlier when I was out walking the dog, just listening to it back, just to try and give me the right frame of mind for this podcast this evening, because I was very tired earlier. And it's very, I started thinking, this is kind of like Quentin Hooper breaking down barriers and kind of learning to respect each other.
I mean, it is very similar to that. They do learn to respect each other. Because I don't know if they had any sort of mutual respect before. Like, they both mentioned each other kind of in passing. They kind of know each other, but it's like they both felt the need to meet each other and kind of like feel the other one out. And after hearing their philosophies on the job, it's like, okay, I do this for a living where I do take down scores and I don't respect the cops, but this guy's kind of making sense to me. And it's the same way for Neil. It's like, okay, I get it. I can understand his perspective too, even if it goes against what I'm doing for a living.
Well, he says to him there, about honesty. He says, no, my he says, my life's a disaster. He says,
I know.
and he tells him his personal business, because we seen Neil found out earlier that he's had 3 marriages. And one thing I gotta say as well, and we're going to get more on this, Jon Voight's character is just Nate. He has the answer for everything, but Nate's already told him this, so Neil's prepared. But Vincent is honest with him and says to him, I've got a wife, my third. He says, because I spent all my life chasing guys like you around the block. That's my life. Nate's already told him this. This guy doesn't have a life at home because he's chasing people like you. And that's when he opens up about that line he tells Chris about, don't let yourself get attached to anything you're not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel a heat coming around the corner. And he says to him, how do you expect to keep a marriage? And that's when Vincent says, well, that's an interesting point. He makes a wee snide comment. He says, what are you, a monk? And he admits, now this will tie into later as well, this lane pretty much gets, in my opinion, Neil killed. He says to him, I have a woman. And he says, what do you tell her? He says, I tell her I'm a salesman. And he says, so if you spot me coming around the corner, you're just going to walk out in this woman, not say goodbye. And he says, that's the discipline. And I love this thing that Neil says to him. Vincent says to him, he says, that's pretty vacant. No. And he says, yeah, it is what it is. It's that, or we better go do something else, pal. And I love this. This is what you say when they earn their trust and respect, because Vincent says to him, I don't know how to do anything else. And as quick as anything, Neil says, neither do I. And then Vincent says, I don't want to do anything else. And Neil says, neither do I.
Yeah.
And you see them just kind of looking at each other, like you say, feeling each other, just smiling at each other as if we're the same. We're exactly the same, just doing 2 different things.
And if you ever notice, anytime they get off track and can't do the jobs that they enjoy doing most in their life, that's when things start to fall apart for both of them. Unfortunately, they can't have those personal lives. This is what they love. Something you said last week is he's like an adrenaline junkie, Al
Mm.
Pacino, Hannah. And I was rewatching like the lead up to this scene and how, again, it's insane to me that he's like able to get in the helicopter and pick up the police car, but it's like it's late at night and it's just he could just randomly do that, and that's because that's what he wants. He's got the itch. He's got to get away from his wife because she's driving. He can't handle that at home, so he's got to go out there and do this and go talk to the guy he's chasing. Like this is more important to him than being at home with his wife and talking to her. He'd rather be talking to him.
And obviously, when he goes home and he sees the wife getting ready, and he says, "Where are we going?" and she ignores him, and then he goes, "Well, where are you going?" And she's out. He goes to the sink, and it's like he's trying to do the normal thing, but he can't. It's all,
It's not
and
him.
the fact it's not him, and the fact of the matter is that if he didn't have a wife to go home to, he probably would have just took that helicopter ride. He probably wouldn't have even went home. He probably would have just went and done this. But then this will tie into this next part, John, where it's like a very weird part of the conversation, very deep part of the conversation, and because dreams are kind of very strange, and
Mhm.
dreams sometimes blur the lines between reality and fantasy. But of course, for some reason, Vincent starts telling him about this dream about it says all the victims of all the murders I've ever worked on is sitting at this table. They're staring at me with these black eyeballs because it got 8-ball hemorrhages from the head wounds. Now he says all the murders, but it couldn't be all of them. But that specific line about the hemorrhages from the head wounds, that's Wayne Grow.
It's
So
that case that he's been working on.
it's that case. Again, he says, they're big balloon people because they've been found him under the bed. They've been lying there for 2 weeks, and the neighbours reported the smell. And he says, and they're just all sitting there. And Neil asks him what to say, and he says nothing. He says no talk. He says none. He says don't say anything. We just look at each other. He says, and that's the dream. And then he retorts with a very quick dream that he has. He says, I have one where I'm drowning, and I got to wake myself up before I die in my sleep. And he says, you know what it's about? He says, yeah, I haven't enough time. He says, enough time for what you want to do? He says, that's right. He says, you doing it now? And he says, no, not yet. So what do you make from them two dreams? What are they saying to each other?
I think that
Two different dreams. One's dying in his dream, and one's surrounded by dead people. So what does that say?
Well, I think that one of them, especially whenever you see somebody like I've always heard, if you see dead people in your dreams or people like you're always stuck in the past and you're never able to move forward because you're literally carrying around this weight with you all the time. And that's like what his mind is filled with is the guilt of people who have died along the lines of his investigations. And, that's all he lived for is that job. Whereas I feel like Neil, when he's talking about he's drowning, I feel like anyone who's that sharp all the time that you used to, like you were saying last week, I get what he's saying. Like he doesn't have enough time, but I feel like he's always focused and living the job that he's doing. He never can let his guard down because he wouldn't be as successful at the work he's doing.
Mhm.
So I feel like feeling like you're drowning, it just feels like it's all on his shoulders, and he's got to. If he's not careful, it'll end up killing him. At least that's how I've looked at the dreams.
First of all, we have a saying here about I don't know if it's an Irish thing or what, or it's just like a this side of the pond type of thing. Whereas like if you dream of a death, it means a birth.
Okay. See,
I've
actually,
had,
it's something it said if you dream of death, somebody's going to die, is what I've heard.
well, if you dream of the saying here is if you dream of a death, it means a birth. But if you dream of a birth, it means a death.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's the opposite. And I've had situations where people have said, "Oh, I had a dream that such and such died," and then you find that somebody's pregnant.
Interesting. I mean, it's the classic, life gives way to life, right?
Yeah. So this is what I make from these two dreams here. Al Pacino's surrounded by dead people. There's nothing happening. There's no talk going on. Whereas Neil is dreaming that he's gonna die. Right? He has to wake himself up to start breathing. So he's dying in his dream. They're both effectively dead. They're not living life,
No.
They're both not living because one lives for his. They're both live just for their work. They are
That's it.
consumed just for their work. Outside of their work, they don't have a life.
Nope.
And obviously, I think we may have mentioned this in the first part. The fact of the matter is that whereas Al Pacino has the opportunity to have a life outside work, he doesn't take that opportunity because he's too consumed with his work. Whereas Neil just doesn't have one because he knows that will affect his life of crime.
Yeah, he's disciplined. Like he says, that's
Yeah,
the discipline. He believes in his discipline of like being able to get rid of everything and
yeah,
just move on. And he's like, you have to be able to do that to do this job. And you know what? His philosophy is correct. At least it's proven to be correct for him because the only time it doesn't work, at least that we see, is when he deviates from that.
yeah. And they then go on to say that, we're sitting here. He says, couple of regular fellows. He says, you got to do what I got to do. So, he recognizes, we're just normal guys,
Yeah.
doing two different jobs. But this is where he says, if I'm there and I got to put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're going to turn into a widow, brother, you are going down. I love how De Niro's doing the Earl.
And listening, like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And he's like, there's a flip side to that.
It's such a De Niro thing too, the way he
Uh,
says it.
And the way he's like,
With his eyes, the De Niro eyes. There's a flip side, like I can't do it
there's
because I'm not Robert De Niro. Yeah.
the flip side to that. And he says,
Mm.
what if you got me boxed in and you got to put, I got to put you down because no matter what, you will not get in my way.
Mm.
But I will not hesitate, not for a second. And the thing is that, John, if you've seen this movie before and you analyze this scene, Vincent says maybe that's the way it'll be, or who knows. And De Niro says to him, or maybe we'll never see each other again. Something which I made a note of is that the decisions both men will make results in either of these two outcomes. The two outcomes that they've just discussed are the
Mhm.
only two outcomes because
Yep.
of the decisions. But when we get there, it's kind of like I know we're going to get there, but I just got to say it now because this is the middle of the movie and everything hinges on this
Mhm.
in the second part of the movie. If Neil doesn't go and take out Wayne Grow, he lives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. However, if Pacino or Vincent isn't so consumed with his job, right, and stays at the hospital, Neil still takes out Wayne Grow and lives,
Yep.
right? And that means they never see each other again. So, say Neil didn't go and take out Wayne Grow again, he lives, and they don't see each other again. But because the two of them do the things that consumes them, as in Neil having to go and take out Wayne Grow because he can't let that slide, and Vincent going and doing his job, which he always does, means that the ultimate outcome is death for either one of them.
Mhm. Because we'll get to it in a second. Obviously, like you would think at this moment of all moments is when Vincent wouldn't go to work, right? What happens then? Like that's you take the night off. I've taken the night off for way less than what happens. So you take the night off, I think, but he doesn't. He doesn't because of he has to. He's the one who put up him under Jameson at that hotel anyway. So he knew that was the bait. It was set. So he had to keep his eye on it. This is it. It's like a Western. These
Yeah.
two, they're linked and they got to have that big final standoff and we'll get it.
We'll get there, but as I say, this everything that you want to know about Heat is in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything when you think about it, the philosophy, the men, their decisions up to now, their decisions after this scene.
And don't you think it's funny in a movie that's like known for having one of the most iconic action sequences of all time? On the flip side of that, you have one of the most iconic scenes that are just driven by two of the greatest actors doing dialogue.
It is, yeah, it is, and and you think that the bank robbery scene should be the climax of the movie, and it's not. It's like,
No, that's another trick they pull in this movie.
yeah, there's like 40 minutes, maybe an hour, nearly an hour left after the bank robbery.
Yeah, usually the falling action is not that long, but they sure have it in this movie be a long time and then have it like, honestly, to have it the way it ends, that's kind of an 80s decision, really not something more in line with something in the 90s. Usually they would end it like on an epilogue kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's bold filmmaking. There's a lot of cool things. We'll get to a shot I want to talk to you about later that I'm just like, I've never really seen anything like that except in this movie.
Yeah. I think I can guess what it is.
We'll see.
We'll see if I'm right. I've got it in my head. And are you happy enough for us to move on from this scene, John? Because I know it's a very pivotal scene. That's why I wanted to spend a wee bit of time on it.
I know this is important, absolutely, and I think that you're right because we'll get more. To talk more about the scene. I think we have to go on to other scenes.
Yeah, 100%. And look, as I say, very dialogue heavy scene. I really wanted to just pick out like the important lines, but as I went through it, I went, no, like nearly all this whole scene has to be, analyzed a wee bit deeper.
And
So it
it
is.
can't be sold short for like younger viewers how big it really is to like build up to the scene. It really does feel like build like you spent your whole life almost like a crossover between like two iconic characters, like finally being in the same scene together, like Batman and Superman. That's kind of
Yeah,
how it felt. Maybe it doesn't get appreciated as much now because they would be in other movies together after this to
yeah,
obviously lesser extent.
yeah. But two, as you said earlier, two heavyweights of like, cinema. Like at that particular time, there was very few actors, if any, that were bigger than Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. I would say them two, and Jack Nicholson, and I mean, you could argue like Robert Redford, Paul Newman already had their day,
hmm Well, this is the
So
problem. I look at this like as their last gasp of like being on the mountaintop, and like both of them start to go down the other side after this. Because
mhm,
this is the same year that De Niro also has Casino. So, and I think they came out 2 weeks apart. So
mhm.
after that, he starts to do more comedies, and that would kind of define his 2000s. Pacino, I think we talked about it. Like he has a couple movies that come out after this. That Donnie Brasco's a pretty big one. So he's got some other iconic roles, but he also shifts to more like comedies as well.
When was Carlito's Way? Was that 96?
Carlito's Way is 93, I'm pretty sure.
Is it 93? Okay, no worries. Yeah, I
Let
love
me
Carlito's Way. I think that's a brilliant film.
let me double check that, but
You,
yeah,
you, you could be right. I thought it was
93. Yeah,
93. Yeah, no,
yeah,
Carlito's Way is brilliant. 10 years after Scarface, then yeah,
yeah. I love Carlito's Way. Teaming back up with De Palma. Ah, it's a good one.
yeah. It's a brilliant. It's Scarface, Carlito's Way.
You pushed me to rewatch it because I hadn't watched it in a long time, and then I saw the 4K, and I was like, you know what? It's time. It's great. I don't know why it took me so long to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a great bookend to Scarface. But you have the rise and fall of a gangster, whereas Carlito's Way is kind of like just the fall, kind of like the fall.
Yeah, it's all over for him. It's not. It's too late.
It's a guy who's at the top, and it's a slide.
Yeah,
Whereas Scarface is the other way. It's going up. It's him his ascent.
his ascent and his self destruction.
There is like Scarface is ultimately like the rise and fall, but the fall comes so quick.
It's so
Whereas
fast. Yeah,
it's so fast. But whereas which is the meaning of the movie, but
yeah.
a Carlito's Way is just about a guy. Well, it's that age old story of get out of prison. Wants to go straight. But doesn't want to. But he
It's
doesn't
never gonna
realize
work.
it's not going to work out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to do that one someday, and
Oh
I
yeah.
love. I think it's a great film. I think it's underrated. I think it's being more appreciated as time goes on, but I think it's so well made.
Yeah, we don't appreciate movies. They always say that though. That's why they said that. I always heard like some people say they should hold the Oscars like 5 years after the year that actually, the movies come out because we don't appreciate movies usually in the time, and we also over praise movies in the moment that we'll always forget about like within a year or two.
Yeah, well, it would be a good. It might be a good exercise. Maybe a good idea when you look at some of the movies that have endured that missed out on
I mean,
awards
like we said
or
earlier,
products.
like Shakespeare in Love won Best Picture in '98, and who talks about Shakespeare in
Yeah, I know. I
Love?
don't know. I haven't even seen it. No interest in seeing it.
I don't blame you. It's not an interesting movie. Some people will defend it but I also just feel like they're just trying to be contrarians to Saving Private Ryan. Really?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I know it's no wonder Spielberg was peeved off that.
I'd
So
be pissed off too.
yeah, I think he thought he was a shoe in for that as well, and he gets snubbed.
Yeah, you would think.
No,
You
he
would
got
think.
best director, didn't he?
Did he get it for that year? That would make sense. I think because I know whoever.
He
Yeah,
did.
that's true. Because usually the best director usually wins Best Picture, and that was one of the years where that didn't happen.
I think he got best. He won the best director, but
Yeah,
he didn't get the best picture.
yeah. That's one year after James Cameron won Best Director. He did "I'm the King of the World" there and pissed everyone off.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I think we were talking about this before we started recording, just for the audience. It was basically looking at the 90s. Well, I won't spoil the next episode, but looking at the 90s best pictures where you had Braveheart and you had Titanic. I can't remember what was Braveheart. No, sorry, you had even Forrest Gump to a certain extent. So you had Forrest Gump, you had Braveheart, then I think you had
Yeah,
Titanic.
you had the English Patient in the middle of those.
Was the English Patient in there as well?
96.
Right, 90s English, but then you had the likes of like Saving Private Ryan, and that didn't win in those. And I just go, well, how did that not win and those other ones did? And
That's
it's just like
weird.
Shakespeare in Love. So I don't know.
They get pretentious. It's weird. They do that. It's like it's weird how they went. You're right though. Like Braveheart, and Titanic, and Gladiator just don't make sense compared to movies like The English Patient and then American Beauty, which 1999, one of the best years in film. The fact American Beauty won Best Picture is crazy over the other great movies that came out that year.
Yeah, I mean, I like American Beauty, but it's like I remember there's this infamous photograph of Spielberg sitting at the Oscars holding his Oscar, and you can tell he's like pissed off, really pissed. And I think he thought that if Titanic can win 11 Oscars, then we should do pretty well with this World War II epic. And they did do well, but they didn't win Best Picture. I think they won
Hmm.
6 or 7, didn't they? Maybe 5, maybe.
Yeah, I
Not
think he was
sure.
mad at the fact that politics pretty much won Best Picture that year, and not
Mm,
actually the art.
yeah, and he's every right to be.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. So, cut to the next scene here. It's Vincent, and he's in his the police headquarters, and he's being told they dumped us. Chris slipped our tail, and he doesn't talk about their scores to Charlene, so they can't get anything from Marciano. They dumped all the surveillance, and the surveillance couldn't fly over the flight paths as the crew drove into LAX. So Vincent then explodes, asking, "Does anybody have any idea where the fuck these people are?"
I don't blame him for being mad. He's like, I was just having coffee with Neil McCauley a half hour ago.
I know, and well, they were very smart. They knew if they went to the airport that they wouldn't be. They knew they were being tailed, so they knew, if we go here, that they won't be able to tail us any longer. It says the car's sitting in the airport at the minute.
Yeah, it's just like what Pacino said in the first part. Oh, these guys are good.
They're good.
They're good.
So cut the next scene. Trejo's in the car park, and we hear drilling, and we see Chris is drilling. Must be the car park under the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because that bank is huge. We'll get to that in a second. I've never seen a bank like that in my life.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, we have banks here like that, but well, not like that.
That
But
big?
not as big as that. No, not as big as that.
Yeah, I've
That
never
is-
seen a bank like. I mean, give it like I've been to New York City, but I've never gone to a bank in New York City. But like around here, I've never seen a bank close to that size.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've been in banks with like big high walls and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And
like that. It looked like a cathedral in there, or at least like I'm used to walking in banks that look like they were put together like 75 years ago.
right, okay. Like, I'm just trying to imagine. I'm thinking of like you banks you see in cowboy movies.
Yeah, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just picture like a shopping center and there's a bank in the middle of it.
Oh, but yeah, I've seen obviously, yeah, but I have banks like that too as well. So
Yeah, that's pretty much the mall.
yeah, not. I mean, like, it's I know what you're saying. Like, it's scale, weight.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, maybe it's filmed just because it makes it look big when to get it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that big, but it looks huge.
Yeah, yeah. So, we see Bagel tampering with the bank security system, so they're getting to work on that. And then we cut to Roger Van Sant. I love this. Wayne Grow enters, and he asks, "Who are you?" And somebody says he knows Neil McCauley, and Van Sant says to him, "I've been living in this office day and night." I love how he's sitting there like in his ruffled suit, and all his papers are all over the floor. All
I
his
know
boxes.
he's spending his nights just going through these papers because he's all panicked because he's afraid he's gonna get killed.
Yeah, and Wayne Grow says to him, "He ain't gonna forget about you." He says, "I can make some moves here." He says, "Be a big help to you."
Yeah, he oversells himself completely. I've done some big scores with him. Yeah, he doesn't know at all that Neil fucking hates him.
Yes, yeah, I'm confused about that whole relationship. Like I said in the first part, John, like I almost think that was the first time they met. And so how does he know about the bank? Oh, that's right, because the torture Trejo. Trejo probably tells him that's what it is.
Yeah,
Right.
they torture, but they haven't tortured Trejo yet. But that's exactly how they get the information.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because I was thinking that when I was watching it again over the week, that second part over the weekend, and then it dawned on me, I was like, "Oh, they tortured him," and he obviously told them.
Yeah, actually, I think he even says when they're torturing him that Van Zant's with him when they do it, which it just doesn't feel like Van Zant would be there.
Yeah, I'll get to that scene. There's a few wee things about that scene I'm gonna raise. So do when we get to there.
We'll raise a flag on it. We'll hang a lantern on it.
Yeah, that's it. Get it under the microscope.
Got some analyzing to do.
Analyze this.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah, great film. Haven't seen that in years. Very funny.
Yeah, me neither. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one. So next scene, we're in the cafe, and we've got Chris and Michael and Neil sitting there, and Neil points out the grill man. It's Don. And he says to Chris, "Do you recognize the grilled man?" And Chris is like, "No." And he's like, "Folsom, D Block, House with Dobie Rush." I just know what I love, mate, is this the same. I mentioned Scarface earlier. I love movies that mention characters you never see.
Oh, yeah, I know. I do love that too. But this movie's got a couple of them.
It's got a few of them. That's why when I was writing my notes, I was like, I need to write that down because of Dobie Rush, whoever he is. You know, they mentioned in the last scene about
Jimmy,
McNeil as
whatever.
well.
You know, it's Jimmy the guy, whoever Jimmy something's the one who's always talking about it. Like, remember how he's the one who told us if you leave in 30
Yeah.
seconds left, you feel the heat around the corner. Like, we don't know who that guy is, but he's
Yeah.
brought up twice.
He was he not the guy who Vincent brings up in the conversation earlier about McNeil? I didn't mention it when we were talking about there at the start of in the coffee shop. He says to him, "You're in Falcom." Was McNeil as tough as to say? He's the guy that told him this because I think De Niro mentions that to Val Kilmer earlier on in the movie. Remember
Yeah.
what McNeil says?
Yeah.
You feel the heat coming around the corner. It's like Scarface, whereas like Tony Montana always talks about the Diaz brothers. The Diaz
Yeah.
brothers, they come to get me. But you never ever see the Diaz brothers.
No, but in your mind, you're building them up.
Yeah.
Going, huh?
So I love that in films when they mention people like, you know.
See, in 2025, these guys would get their own miniseries. All these people, all these side characters we don't see in all these movies and TV shows, they would all have their own miniseries to explain who they are.
Oh yeah. Sorry, if it was if they were making like a multiverse,
yeah, Heat multiverse would be out there. Yeah, we're gonna go back and we're gonna show you the 7 years when McNeil when he was in prison and all the characters he met there.
but do you know that they're making a Heat 2?
Yes, I did actually
Yes,
know that. Interesting. I haven't read the book yet though.
But that's what I was going to say. It's Michael Mann wrote the book. It's a prequel sequel, like Godfather Part 2, and it goes into Macaulay's background and Vincent Hanna's background, so it could go well into all these other characters.
I'm interested. I am. I heard that Austin Butler's playing one of them, so I'm curious to see how that goes. He's one of the better modern actors.
Yeah, I might have to read that book.
I have to read the book. It's Heat too.
Yeah, I might have to read that. So it's good that the source, but it's not like somebody else is taking it and kind of going, "Oh, I'm going to write." I hate that somebody comes across as fan fiction, but if it's Michael Mann doing it, then there's nobody better to do it, in my opinion.
It's his movie.
Yeah, it's his characters.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah, he gets the characters better than anybody.
Yeah, and if he messes up, he's got no one to blame but himself. So
yeah, like Stallone and Rocky 5.
Exactly. Which we like.
Which we like, by the way. Yes, I'm an unapologetic fan of Rocky 5. So we see Don getting shit from his boss. You know, he's like, I didn't get a break. I haven't got my break. And he's like, 2 guys phoned in sick. Make sure you take out the trash after this. And he certainly does take out the trash because Trejo hasn't arrived. And he calls Neil and he asks him to call him back. And when Neil calls him back, he says the cops are on him like a cheap suit and he can't do it. And I want to ask you, John, at this stage, are the cops really on the trail at this stage, or do you think Van Sant has already got them?
So I have a theory. I don't think the cops are on him at all. I do think it's all Waingro and Van Zant, and I think they have his wife at this point.
Yes.
So because like we obviously know she gets killed, but I think that's what it is. It's like you make this call to him, and if not, we'll kill your wife.
Do you know what? That to me is probably the most likely scenario because you see him at the phone and he's looking up and down, and he runs back to his truck. We don't see the cops kind of like, as he says, doing back and zigzags or whatever. Because you would think if the cops were surveilling him, they would prevent the stuff with Waingro happening to him.
Exactly. They would notice him. And then how is it that they're only on him? Like, like that he's the only one that they're able to find, and like they're making it kind of obvious that they're doing these patterns on him. Like it seems a little bit like over exaggerated.
Yeah, that's the most likely scenario. There is a part of me that thinks that maybe the cops are watching him and this is genuine at this part. And when he goes back, that's when Waingro, and I don't think, now we'll get to it, I can't remember Trejo saying that Van Sant was part of what happened in the house.
But it just seems like that'd be 2 weird coincidences to be like the fact that they they only know to go to Trejo too, and the cops are only on Trejo. It feels weird that they'd be like both. It has to be kind of intertwined, I feel like.
Yeah. But either way, it's Vincent's men that
Mm.
do that. And we find out Wayne Rowe was there with them. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not sure we find out why they target Trejo. Is it just because they get to him first, or they couldn't get to any of the other guys?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's the reason why he knows everybody who's in the crew, and maybe he felt like that's the easiest one to get to. Like maybe they knew somewhere where his wife was. There are some stuff that doesn't explain everything in here.
Yeah. Do you know the other reason why they get to Trejo first?
Why?
Because he's not Robert De Niro or Val Kilmer.
It's also very true. This isn't early Danny Trejo, but it's like, he's still one of those guys. You're not going to get to one of the big guys in this movie.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
goes back to the scene earlier, which we discussed in the first part, where they had the three, great actors. Because I know a lot of people love Danny Trejo. I know that he's great in From Dusk Till Dawn, but I'm saying he's not one of them. So that's why they get the dramatic moments, and he just gets the "What about you, Trejo?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
They can't even give him a name. He has to use his own name. He probably has to wear his own clothes.
He does get a good tragic death scene, though, that kind of shows off his chops a little bit.
Yeah, I really like that scene.
Yeah, that's probably his best on-screen performance, honestly.
Lying down with his
Yeah.
face iced in.
There's a lot of emotion in his voice, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a good scene. So, as I say, Neil approaches Dawn to be the driver, and you see them kind of thinking again. This is all about decisions, consequence. If he had just stayed in his shitty job, getting shit from his shitty boss, he wouldn't be dead. But he doesn't. He can't take the heat in the kitchen, so he decides to be the driver. He says, "Yeah, sure," and then De Niro says, "I'll meet me out the back." And he throws his weasel. But I wrote down, he throws his weasel boss to the floor.
I love that. I honestly always felt he was a little too nice about that. I would have knocked him in the face if I'm leaving at that point.
Yeah, he just kind of throws him over.
Yep. And just kind of like, yeah, that's it. Like, I'm leaving.
Yeah. And then we go on to a quick scene of Edie packing books. Is it books she's packing? That's her job? I couldn't make out where that was. Was that her home? Or was that her job? Is she packing to leave with Neil? Or was that on her work?
I think that was her work, because I don't think they've and maybe she's packing their favorite books to bring with her. It's possible.
In her home, because she's going to be leaving with Neil. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine.
Couldn't make out where it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of not really in focus enough to like know for sure.
Yeah. But either way, she's packing something, and then with Charlene with the child, we see a quick shot with her, and now we cut to the bank robbery. Finally, we're getting
the big one
here. The big one. First of all, love that score that's playing in the background, that music that's playing, and we see Neil enter the bank. He's followed by Chris. We see Michael and then we see Michael. They're all wearing earpieces. And they're kind of scoping the place out, and they take up strategic positions. And Neil and Michael put masks on, and then Chris attacks the security guard. The weapons are pulled, and they're being told get their hands up and get down. And they ask for the keys. Neil tells them,
"We want to hurt no one. We're here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money is insured by the federal government. You're not going to lose a dime.
Think of your families. Don't risk your life. Don't try and be a hero. Sit on the floor, hands on your head." And then he asks one of the clerks, "Give me the key." And he says, "What key?"
Oh, and this is honestly perfect and shows the professionalism of him. He's not going to waste a second. He's like, okay, you didn't give me the answer I want. Boom. And he's like, he just like quickly, and like he knows exactly how to deal with that problem, because he's going to be all disheveled from this.
Yeah, he hits him a left hook, grabs the key off him. I mean, could you imagine if that was Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon? He'd be like, come on, give me the key. You know what I'm talking about?
He'd be there for a while. But Neil's like too focused. He's like, he comes in, that's what I mean. This really does show off how sharp Neil really is.
Yeah, you're right. This is how, these guys, time is of the essence for these guys. They know they've only got a small window to get in and get out again, and there's no messing about, and they're not messing about. Mm-hmm. You hear like the voices in the background, you hear Michael saying and stuff and all, "Don't move, I'll fucking shoot you. Don't you look at me, get against the wall." You know what I mean? And they do the professional thing they said. They preempt Dog Day Afternoon, where they say like, "Oh, if you're ill, if you have any issues, go and sit up against that wall over there." Whereas, like I was going to say there, if that was Dog Day Afternoon, the Al Pacino character would be going, "We're going to get things rolling. we're going to be out of here in half an hour. We're going to get it rolling."
I love him.
It's brilliant. But this is just a contrast here, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But he hits that fella, and he takes the key, rips his shirt, and he says to him, "Sit there, don't move, let it bleed."
Yep, exactly. Because he's all disheveled from where he hit him and everything. It moves so quickly through this entire sequence to get through exactly what they're there to do, and it's it just shows off the skills of them.
Yeah, and they know the alarms have been tripped. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be no issues there. They can just open them phones and walk straight through, and you see Criskin in there, and he's got them big, massive bags, and he's just filling them full of money. And what's that remind you of?
I always think of Thief, but that's also another Michael Mann movie.
But I haven't seen Thief, and I've been meaning to watch it. I know there's a 4K coming, so I definitely have to catch.
Oh yeah, well you guys don't have the 4K. It's a beautiful 4K. You'll love Thief. I know you'll love Thief.
I've been hearing good things about it for years, mate, and it's been
Oh.
one on the back of my mind. I must get and it's Arrow Videos doing the box
Yeah.
set. I was looking at it today, but it's on pre-order. So, and I bought a load of physical media this month, so I'm kind of like I have to restrain myself a wee bit.
Yeah, we got the Criterion 4K here, and I felt like since I already have the 4K, I'm not going to get the Arrow 4K because it's the same scan. Even though Arrow usually will have it a little bit sharper, I already got it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I was looking at some of them today, mate. Not to get too sidetracked. There's ones there that I want, and listen, Arrow do good work, but like I'm like they're real. Like it's £25. Like for example, for what's that one that I didn't get? Oh God, I'm blanking here. It's £25 for. Well, I seen the stuff, and I'm like interested in that. And the other one is you got it there, Cobra.
Cobra? Yeah, I love Cobra.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm like,
if
no,
you
go
don't
ahead.
have it, it's worth it. But sometimes if it's like if you already have it on Blue, I can honestly say, you're not gonna get the world's biggest upgrade. But I love Cobra, so I was like, I have to have it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I have it, but it's just a standard Blu-ray. It's in a Stallone box set, so I've no doubt that the 4K is gonna be. I know you said it's not much of a step up, but I don't know how old that Blu-ray is. I don't know when
Yeah,
it was
so
done.
I don't know which one that is because my Blu-ray was a Shout Factory Blu-ray that
See.
came out like only 5 years ago.
So that's probably 100% better than like the one that I've got, which is just a standard Blu-ray. But I don't know when it came out. I haven't even looked at it. I watched it once, and I didn't particularly like the movie. But you've been saying give it another go because, like, now I know what they expect. But the thing about Arrow is, you're gonna get the booklet. It has the TV cut in there. You're gonna get the slip case. It's a nice package. But at the minute, I'm kind of going 25. I'm like, do you really want to? I do want to, but part of me doesn't.
Yeah, no, I get you. You got to make those. It's honestly the way physical media is and how much it costs. You got to make some tough decisions. You can't get everything. I wanted to get like next week, just to give you a little. I want to get the Venetian Scheme on 4K, but I was like, it's still $29. I'm like, it's too much for a movie that I know is going to get a boutique level upgrade in like 2 years. I'm like, I'll just wait the 2 years. I'll watch it at home, and that'll be it. I'm not spending $30 for a 4K. That's going to be out of style in 2 years.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's what I'm saying. It's not like I've spent a lot on physical media this month, and I know I've got my eye on a couple of other things. And then,
Yeah. We got to make tough choice. We can't buy them all.
I know, and I'm kind of thinking like maybe at some stage I'd be quite happy for just like the standard release because I'm holding out for the standard release of Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell. I don't need the booklet. I don't need all the extra stuff for that. I really don't.
No, I mean sometimes that's how it works. I missed out on the big booklet and the fat case for Django, but I ended up getting the standard edition, and that's fine. Same thing with Demons. I was happy to have the standard as long as I got the disc. That's all most important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we got sidetracked, but let's get back to Heat.
Sorry about that. Back to Heat, but what this reminds me of is the start of the Dark Knight with the big bags and putting the money in.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, 100%. The Dark Knight took so much from this movie in the way the heist is.
Basically, this whole scene here is just they done this at the start of the Dark Knight. Only it's kind of a wee bit more elaborate in the Dark Knight. The one thing Nolan's great at doing is taking something and kind of putting his own spin on it and adding a wee bit more to make it a wee bit more complex. But he was able to do that at the start of the Dark Knight.
And they're successful in the Dark Knight in their heist.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, we cut to the police headquarters where Cassels is given information that a CI Hugh Banney called in about a bank Neil McCauley is looking at, and they give Vincent a shout, and they're told the Far East National Bank at 11:30.
What luck was that? And this all circles back to Waingro from the beginning. Like if he didn't get him, this would have they would have been able to pull this off clean too.
They would have done, yeah, but Hugh, I was like CI. I didn't look into what CI was. I thought it was one of the policemen, but not Hugh Banney is Roger Van Zant's bodyguard.
Yes, that's what's his name that we were talking about.
The guy you like. the guy
Henry
who
Rollins.
yes, because I didn't realize that till I was watching it last night, and I had the subtitles on. I was taking notes. When Pacino goes to his apartment, he says Hugh Banny's become a born again good citizen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his name. He's Hugh Banny. Because when I first seen this, I thought it was a cop. A cop has got a tip. So no, it's Hugh Banny has phoned in this tip, and they've brought it up to Cassell's and their team with Vincent Hanna because they know that they were looking into this guy Neil McCauley. So right away they put two and they go, oh, that's the score he's doing. That's the big score he's doing. And so Michael leaves with the money over his shoulder as Vincent and co are driving to the location. I like how he gets into the getaway car and he laughs. Now listen, I know hindsight's 2020. Okay? But I'm watching this movie last night and I'm going to myself for over the weekend, Sunday night as well. And I'm going to myself, if these guys were professionals, they wouldn't just have one getaway car.
No. This is where they kind of slip up, is having one driver for one getaway car. And it's like, you're going to box yourself in. You would think they'd be a little bit smarter on that end.
That's what I can. I know because we know how this pans out. It's easy to say, oh well, but I'm just kind of thinking like with all that money coming out with automatic weapons, broad daylight, one car. I'm like, I don't know. I just think to myself, the three of them squeezing into that car with all that money with their weapons shown, and
it's not going to work.
Yeah, I just have a hard time with that. Maybe it's because I want them to get away.
Yeah, and you're like, but maybe they feel like, I mean, the thing is, you can't really argue because they've been successful. So maybe this has worked before, and it looked like it would have worked. It would have worked.
It was going to work, yeah, only for the Wayne Grove situation. And I like how Michael, when he gets in, he laughs. So he does, because he's thinking he's home free already. I'm in the car. I've got the money. All we got to do is drive off now when the other two come out. And but as Neil and Chris leave the bank, Vincent and Co see them. Cassell says they're already coming out. And this bit here, John, now I'd written down here. So Vincent radio, okay, we're going to have to take them in the car. Wait till they are all in. Get clean shots. So he's just going to shoot them?
I know.
Or does he mean get clean shots?
Like available to you. Make sure you got...
If they resist. Yeah.
Get the guns on them and then try and take, like, assuming that the cops at the end of the block will be there to cut them off. Make sure you have clean shots on them as we take them out in case they start resisting.
Yeah, that makes more sense, because I was like, is he just going to shoot them when they get into the car?
I know, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Yeah, but obviously he knows Neil's intention. He says, if you box me in,
yeah.
So he knows his intention, that if he's boxed in, he's gonna shoot. And I'm assuming at this stage they have the information about this robbery. I mean, we don't know how much information they've got, because I made a note here saying, how do they know they've robbed the bank at this stage? How do they know they're just not coming out? Okay, they put two into the guy, got big bags over their shoulders, but they could be just... How do they know? But I don't know. Maybe it's just...
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess they take their masks off so you can see their faces.
Yeah, but you can see their faces. But what I'm saying is, how do the cops know they've actually robbed the bank?
That's a good point. How do they know that they actually just robbed the bank and not just waiting to rob it first? But they do have semi-automatic machine guns on their shoulders, so at the very least, you could take them down for that.
Are they hiding them? But...
Well, they got them like over their shoulder and kind of hanging by their side, but I think you could still get a clear look at them. Although... Yeah. Al Pacino is coming from the other way, which I think the gun's on the right, so maybe not, but I always kind of assume that.
Yeah. Look, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not trying to pick holes or anything like that. I'm just sitting thinking to myself, he knows that your man, Neil McCauley, is a professional robber, and he's admitted to him, I take down scores, and then they get a tip they're going to rob the bank at 11:30. So if they're coming out of the bank here at 11:35, right, then he's assuming that they're coming away from the bank with bags over their shoulders, that they have already robbed the bank. So he's pretty much just saying, get the guns fixed, make sure you get a clear shot, because he thinks that once they see the cops, they're going to open up on them.
Mm-hmm. Which, exactly what happens.
That is exactly what happens here. Neil's in the car and Chris sees the cops and he opens up.
No hesitation at all either from Chris. Like, once he sees them, like, he's smiling and then he sees them and he just, like, immediately starts shooting. Like, like, that's what you got to do. That's the job.
Yeah, well, but he sees him with weapons.
And just starts firing.
He just starts firing. So a couple of notes I put down here from the making of, which I didn't discuss last week, that these guys, the cops and the robbers, they had 3 months of arms training.
Yeah, this is some of the most fascinating. This is some of the most fascinating stuff is the making of this scene alone, because It is incredible. So I continue on. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just reading the notes here. I'm just reading over my notes. Work away.
No, I
Work
just
away.
no. I was just like I'm this like I'm fascinated. It's so fascinating how much influence the scene has had on other scenes, and like what you were going to talk about, like on even armed forces and everything. It's crazy how this one scene and audio design. The audio
Ah,
design is the best audio design when it comes to guns in history. And in the making of, I don't know if they discussed that. They tried a bunch of like ADR audio over it for the guns, and it never worked. So they just actually went with the sound of the blanks, and it makes me think, why don't more movies do that?
yeah. That's one of my favorite bits of trivia about Heat is that this shootout is like this movie's famous for this shootout, this bank robbery and shootout. And the thing is that as you say, when they went to ADR in post production, that nothing worked. It just didn't impact the way they heard it on the day when they were there, and they decided to put the track back in of the blanks because it echoed up all around the buildings.
Yeah, it
And
makes
that's
you
what you
just
hear in the
wonder.
movie, and it sounds amazing.
Incredible. Like, how do you not? It's amazing that that can't be recaptured that much. The closest I got was last year. They did a movie, Civil War, and
Mhm.
it sounded like they did similar audio to that. It's just, I'm like, if it's that simple, you don't even have to ADR. It sounds that perfect. I don't know why more movies don't do that, because it you feel the impact of each gun, like each bullet being fired. In other movies, you don't feel that.
No, definitely not. And as I say, they said here that basically the cops trained the cops in weapons, but there was a technical weapons trainer that trained the criminals in the movie with more semi-automatic weapons and things like that. So they actually built the street to scale on the firing range and played this out. So they would know what it would feel like when they actually got there and would look more professional. Now, one of the guys that actually trained them is a guy. I don't know if you've seen this in the making of. I knew the name when I seen it, Andy McNabb. So that's a pseudonym for him. But he couldn't give his real name. He was ex SAS,
Huh.
so he wrote books when he came out of the British Army, and he wrote them in this pseudonym because he didn't want to get his identity out there. And
Don't
you
blame
know,
them.
well, I think his picture, well, you can see his picture and all's out there now, and I think his real name and all's out there now. But back when this was being made, like 95, like even in the making of on the Blu-ray, he's blacked out. You can't see who he is. So he was ex SAS.
That's pretty awesome.
He served here as well, Northern
Huh.
Ireland, yeah, and other places.
And interesting, and then you end up like in a job like this, which is crazy.
Yeah. So we see poor old Ted Levine is shot dead.
Yeah, that? Like I said when we talked last week, that's probably the most tragic death of the cops that we see. Even though other cops die, like in the regular uniform, now the cops we've been following around, he's the one that's kind of sad for us.
Yeah, and of course, like you see Vincent go over and checking him out, and he's gone. So one of his friends is gone, and that's when the car takes off. And of course, they're driving through the streets. The cops are firing at them. They're firing back, and Dawn is killed at the wheel. Poor
Brutal
Dawn.
death, very like similar to part one when with with the other death in the car. Like this looks like exactly what happened if someone got shot while they were driving. Like his head's on the steering wheel, just driving straight. It's brutal.
Like you said in the first part, John, as well, just how you see the blood splatter on the windscreen, and then the car just rolls to a stop, you know?
Because like that's it. He's dead at the wheel. He's not going to be slamming on the brakes or anything. It's just like that's it. It's just still in motion.
Neil, Chris, well, oh, yeah, that's what I got down here. So here's a question for you. Do you think three guys, even though they're carrying heavy weapons like that, could take out all them cops they got? Because I don't think they could.
I don't think they could either. Although there's a lot of street cops there who probably would be less trained than these guys, and they got semi-assault rifles. The only ones who I think can really have a true shot at like taking them down is like the other cops with the similar guns. Whereas the ones with just handguns, I feel like they're probably not as trained in this because they are like a professional enough at the shooting where they're able to hide behind things and get clear shots on cops. So based on what I'm seeing, they're pretty well trained in this.
Well, the thing is, John, is that in the making of, they mentioned, Michael Mann kind of mentioned that the type of weapons that they have and the supposed type of training this crew has, the cops aren't equipped to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking they're more outnumbered rather than more than the weapons they've got, because the cops still have weapons. It's just how many of them there is. But I do like how you see kind of, you know, they're taking turns. They're moving up in stages. They're covering each other as they move along. Now there is a part where Michael gets kind of tries to move with them, but one of the cops fires and he gets maneuvered. He has to move to the left and he maneuvers out. You see him then across the road. So he kind of like gets blocked off from then Neil and Chris. And that's what ends up being his downfall. He gets taken away from the main group. So he does.
Yeah, and obviously his desperation.
Yeah, well, Chris gets wounded by
Yeah.
Chalice, and Neil picks him up, he takes a car and he escapes. But meanwhile, Michael is chased and takes a child for cover, but is killed by Vincent, which is kind of like these are bad guys at the end of the day. But this kind of killing of Michael, there's a guy there who De Niro or Neil basically advises him, don't do it. You have too much to lose. You've got a wife that looks after you. He's kids.
Yeah, that's what makes this always a little bit like off for me. Like I guess to drive it home, like don't get too attached to Tom Sizemore. He's not really a great guy at the end of the day because like you're a father and you grab a kid as a shield. Like that's fucked up.
Yeah, and to me, those decisions with that character, as a screenwriter in a movie, is all done intentionally.
100%.
The fact that he has, say he's the most to lose. I mean, they could all lose their lives, but like the whole sad thing is that Neil advised him not to go, but he wanted to go because of the juice, and the fact that he is, I know Chris is a father as well, but we see him with his kids, and you see kind of his relationship with his kids at the meal scene, and then he lifts the child for cover, and Vincent again, the adrenaline junkie, the risk taker, aims, and he could have easily shot the child, but luckily he takes Michael out.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It was worth the risk for him, but that could have gone terribly wrong.
Well, he kind of had, as I say, he was surrounded. He had the drop on Michael. Michael didn't see him. He come up from behind, and when he turns, it's just too late. Vincent takes the shot.
Yep, and perfect. That's it. That's the end of him. Dies in the fountain.
Yep, great scene.
Mm-hmm.
That whole shootout.
One of the best all time.
So there's a quick two scenes then after that of a news report of a robbery. You see, I think that's Michael's wife, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Dawn's girlfriend, where she's in the bar and she sees on the television.
Yeah, I really feel horrible for her in that situation because she truly cared about him. And, I feel, we don't really see her cry or anything. We kind of just see her staring at it. And it's just like, he couldn't escape that.
Well, she's heartbroken, John, because she had total faith in him. She put all her trust and all her faith in this man. She obviously loved him and wanted him to do better and be better. And he betrayed her, and he paid with his life.
Yep. So it's like it wasn't even worth it.
So yeah, and I know the thing is for two characters to have such a small input into the movie, such small scenes, it still kind of hits you hard.
It does. I find her reaction to be one of the saddest things in the movie. So it works. She's only in 3 scenes. So it's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so we cut to Chris getting treated by the doctor.
Yeah, we talked about him last week. Or you recognize him most from Judgment Night, right?
Judgment Night. Well, I didn't. I recognized his face and couldn't place him. And then you said to me, "It's Judgment. He's in Judgment Night," and I was like, yes, that's right."
Yeah. I always forget his name too, and I don't know why from Entourage, but because he's so famous, he's also really good. Jeremy Piven, that's what it is. Jeremy Piven from The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard, and everything like that. I love him with less hair in this movie and everything.
I love him in Judgment Night as well.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He always pops around. This actually, out of all the plot holes in the as far as like the writing of the script goes, this has the worst aspect of the movie. I don't know if it's an ad lib or not, but this makes absolutely no sense to me. When Macaulay tells him to take his shirt off, and he says, "My daughter gave me this shirt." I'm like, your daughter gave you a fucking dress shirt that you wear to work at the vet? Like, and I'm supposed to.
Sorry, is he a vet or is he a doctor?
Whatever he is, I mean, he's like a straightforward doctor. Like, he's not like obviously because Neil's in there making him do work on him without reporting it on him. So I always look like whatever he's like walking. He's not like a full blown doctor, but I'm like, whose daughter gives you a dress shirt that you wear to work like that? Like, how? And that's completely sentimental to you, where you can't have that being like. I feels like almost like an actor like making his character bigger than it is.
I don't know, mate. I didn't see an issue with it.
I don't know. It always stuck out to me because, like, I mean, like, I've never given anyone I know like something for like a parent something formal like that, and thought I'm gonna be heartbroken if they get a stain on it or lost it. I don't know. Maybe that's just my thinking. I just thought it's a dress shirt. It's a white
But
dress
but
shirt.
but you're looking at it from you're saying you have never bought, say, your parents a shirt or a jacket or
Well,
clothing.
it's just like
Are you
the
looking at it?
formality of the at shirt. Like, it's not like, a t-shirt like with your face on it or something, or like a sports shirt. It's that it's a shirt that he's wearing to work. That it's like you could go buy 100 of those in a pack. Like, it's just like that. That's the shirt. Like,
But it's the sentimental value, and you have to look at it from the father's point of view.
I just can't imagine being sentimental for that shirt of all shirts. But I guess.
It's like when my dog attacks my dinosaur Teddy over here. Like, people will think he cares about a Teddy. I don't care about the Teddy. It's the sentimental value attached to the Teddy.
Like, but that makes more sense though. Like, that's a dinosaur. Like, like you like Jurassic Park. Like, you can get there. Like, but he's wearing this shirt to work, and he's a doctor or a vet anyway. So there's a good chance that shirt's getting ruined by something pretty fast. Like, that just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're saying to try and attach kind of like a sentimental value to this scene, this character. They've added this in, and you think it doesn't work.
I just think it's trying to overvalue this character who's in one scene, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be there. I mean, it does. It's harmless, but it just always sticks out to me, and it's always stuck out to me. Like, it's just a strange line from him.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I never looked at it like that, but it's fair. It's a different way because I do like the sentimental side of things, and I also think it also shows how much of an asshole. It reminds us how much of an asshole Neil still is, because he's not a nice guy. He says, "I don't give a shit who give it to you."
If it was a
Uh,
necklace, I'd be a little bit more forgiving or something.
Yeah, I thought I had to follow up where he also says, "Take it off." I didn't have that bit written down there, but the doctor says about or the vet, he might be a vet. I thought he was a doctor, but he says that Chris has blood loss and shock, and mainly tissue damage, and he goes to Neil, or sorry, he goes to Chris, and he tells him that Nate will pick him up and bring him to his place. Chris says he's not leaving without Charlene after Neil tells him that they have to get out of here. We're all over the 6 o'clock news. And Chris asks him who did it. And that's where Neil says to him, who wasn't there? Trejo. And he says to him, I'll meet you at Nate's. So he's put the puzzle together here. The Trejo wasn't there. Just like The Godfather. Who wasn't there? The driver.
Exactly. Whoever's not there, there's your answer. And I mean, he's
Yeah.
not wrong. He was right, but I mean, he was half right in the sense he just figured that he tipped him off and betrayed him, but it wasn't much of a betrayal.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as straightforward as just like he just turned on them.
Yeah.
As we will soon find out. So we have a quick call here with Charlene on a call to Alan Marciano saying to her, "You still want me? You come down here right now and you get me, Dominic and me, okay?" And I just thought, what a bitch.
Yeah, I know. At this moment,
Her husband, she knows what he does. It's not like De Niro's relationship with the other girl. What's her name again? Edie.
yeah, Edie. I was
Yeah.
thinking Edie Falco too, so I would have been right.
Yeah. And she knows what Chris does. She's as much part of this as him. She knows he's out there risking his neck, trying to provide. And as soon as shit hits the fan, she is phoning this other guy she's been having an affair with, saying, "Come and get me right now." But she comes off the phone going, "Damn you, Chris," instead of being there for her husband. If the cops come knocking, deny all knowledge. I mean, she probably knew nothing about the robbery anyway, but she knows what he does for a living. But I just thought she's such a bitch. I feel sorry for Chris, to be honest with you. He deserves better.
Because he loves her, and I mean, cherishes her.
Yeah.
But I mean, she probably. We also don't. Again, like we talked about last week, we don't see how this relationship was before. But I feel like he should have left it because it clearly is broken.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we'll get to the scene where
Mhm.
she supposedly kind of redeems herself, but it's it's a
I love
very
that scene.
small redemption. Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll get to that one. So we'll cut to Marciano when the cops are telling him, "You're on a plane to LA," and he's like, "Great." So they're sending them out there to pick her up. So this is the scene where Neil enters Trejo's house in darkness, gun drawn, He sees a body on a bed and Trejo nailed to the floor. He's battered, bad. He's in bad shape, swollen face. It's gruesome. He's nailed to the floor, isn't he?
Like, yeah, he's nailed to the
Crucified.
crucified, exactly, which is brutal, brutal stuff. And his wife's been killed. We know that, and he's like about to die.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very gruesome scene. He asks where's but De Niro says, why'd you do it? And he says, they made me do it. He says, who? And he asks, where's Anna? And that's when he says about she's dead. So's Michael, and he calls him Breen. That's his surname, isn't it? Don Breen. The guy that stood in for you. And he asked me, and who did it? And he says, they had Anna, man. He says, who? He says, Wayne Grow and Van Zandt. See, he just says they had Anna. He says, Wayne Grow and Van Zandt. I can't imagine Van Zandt being there.
That's what I mean. I can't imagine Van Zandt being there either. He never was. He's always sending Henry Rollins to go do it for him.
Yeah, I think he just sent his goons and with Wayne Grow. Probably paid Wayne Grow as well.
Yeah, maybe Van Zandt's making phone calls, but I can't imagine him actually being down there or getting his hands dirty. Look how scared he was. He wasn't leaving his office. He's not going to be down there in these sticky situations.
No, he's packing his gear up, all his wee boxes of paper, going home, getting out of that old suit, having a shower, putting his tracksuit on. Then he was relaxing in front of the TV to watch the basketball.
Hockey.
I think it
was.
was
Hockey game.
It was ice hockey. He thought to himself,
minor league ice hockey, by the way, not even professional.
Not even professional. He was like, I'm home free. I'm going to go home and watch the hockey tonight.
I know. After all being scared, everything's so good now. Everything's taken care of. You didn't check to make sure everyone died in that or got caught.
Or fled. You know?
Like you did no follow-up.
It's brilliant. But we cut the Neil in the car and he calls Nate, who gives Neil Van Zandt's address. And he says, Neil says, next Wayne Grow. And he wants a new out later on. And Nate says to him, all right, you got it. Stay healthy.
Love Nate. Always calm no matter what.
Yeah, I do love Nate in this movie. Now, you talk about spin-offs. If I could get a spin-off out of anybody in this movie, I want a Nate spin-off.
A young Nate? Like, what was he doing that he rose to this position as basically the guy who connects everyone running this network of criminals?
Yeah, and he's always just standing there drinking a whiskey or something, with ice in it. And, I love that scene. I don't know if it's this scene. I can't remember it. It might be a later scene where he's like they're playing pool in the background. He's just lounging about. He's what they would call a lounge lizard.
Yeah, pretty much. He makes drinking whiskey look so cool.
Yeah. And as you say, he's got connections everywhere. He just gets the answers. He's better than the guy that's got the satellite. Everything just, I want to know where this guy is. I get you that. You want a new out? I'll get you that.
He needs those guys, though. That's how he's connected. Those guys like, what's his name with the satellite?
Oh, what was his name?
That's how you get all the information, The Tooth Fairy over there.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. It was Tom Noonan's character.
Yeah.
Kelso.
Got it. Yep.
Kelso's his name. But no, listen, it's great. It's great. Meanwhile, Vincent and Cassels are in a lift with their weapons, and Vincent preempts Neil's move for a new out. So we'll say, because they're both the same, he's thinking like him. He's thinking. So they probably don't know his out, because he actually asks Trejo, did you tell him me out? And he went, I don't think so. And he says, well, what does that mean? If you did or you didn't? And he says, I can't remember. As I say, I skipped over that. What? About Wayne Grow, about him actually saying, I'm not going to, about that. Neil tells Trejo, that he's going to get a medic.
Yeah, and then, we skipped over him, like, putting him out of his...
He says, I'm not going to make it. I can't feel nothing. My Anna is gone. Don't leave me like this, Neil, please. And he shoots him. I like that shot, John, from outside.
We just see the gunfire. Yeah.
Just see the light. Yeah.
I love that too. And this also shows why he would turn on, him, because it also illustrates that he loves his wife that much that once she's gone, he doesn't even want to be alive anymore either. So we understand why he would turn on. And obviously Neil can appreciate that because he's like, I'll get a medic. Like, he's like, I'm not going to kill you because you didn't betray me because if he did, he would kill him right away. But he's like, I'll say it. And he's like, no, don't. It's not worth it. I'm going to die.
Oh yeah. He realized he was in an impossible position, that he didn't do it out of malice. He done it because of the love of his wife, which is something which he can understand having Edie. And he's envious of that. He's getting this stage where he's envious of that kind of lifestyle. You see it earlier in the movie when they're having the dinner where he's like the gooseberry and everybody else has got someone. So he can understand that. He probably thinking, what if they had Edie? I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, he probably wants that. That's always what happens. People always get jealous of like the grass on the other side. You never really do appreciate what you got.
Yeah. But again, like we said in the last episode, what's he doing it for?
Mhm.
You know,
He has nothing to do for.
what's the point in having all that money with you when you've got nothing to come home to?
Exactly. Pretty lonely
You know?
life.
It's a very lonely life. You know, he's not lonely. He's just alone.
Yep, exactly. So he
Same thing.
says.
Same thing. Same thing. But yeah, as I was got there, it was reminded me I didn't say about Trejo being killed. He asks him about the out, and he says, "I don't think so." And he says, "What does that mean? Yes or no?" And he was like, "I don't." He says, "I can't remember." So that's why he is asked for a new out, because he doesn't know whether or not they know about his out, and he wants a new out. And obviously, Vincent being the same side of or the different side of the same coin, he preempts that he thinks we're going to know about his out now. He's going to plan a new out. He says, "Well, how long do you think he'll be here for?" And he says, 8 to 10 hours. After that, he's gone. Bam! And and Casillas tells Vincent, this guy, this is the guy that called the tip on the bank. So it is. So they actually enter the apartment and struggle with this guy. I love that. I love that wee fight that they have with him. And then Vincent grabs his face and throws him out through the glass. And he say, I love as well. He's almost got disgust for this guy, but that he ratted on him, that he ratted him out. It's almost like he doesn't egg rats, even though he needs them.
Yeah, well, he's like, come on, like, you know, you gave him up that easy, that fast. Like, you know, you're supposed to be this tough guy. That's the second time he's brought it up about someone being a rat. It's like, you know, have some pride in your work. Like he said, like, he respects Neil. He does respect Neil. So he respects, like, somebody who will give him a little bit of competition. He's like, you guys just give it up that quick?
Yeah, because he says to him, you ratted McCauley to us. Who told you? You rat motherfucker. So we cut then to Neil at Van Zant's house. I love this scene.
Great scene.
I just have to point out here, that's a very nice pool. And it reminds me, now I could be wrong, I didn't look into it. I've seen a lot of movies based in LA that use this house.
Definitely.
Or, I mean, Terminator 2, New Nightmare.
I think you're right. Early in the scene where they're like talking in that same area with Wes Craven talking there, that going over the script and everything. Yes, I think you're right.
Is that house not Miles Dyson's house?
Might be. And you know, funny you say all that. I think about it. That's all Warner Brothers. So I'm probably Warner owns the or 20th Century. Someone owns that house in LA because that's usually how that works.
Yeah.
Is that the same house in the Big Lebowski? No, that's a different house. But the Big Lebowski house is used in other stuff though.
Pulp Fiction.
Possibly.
It's Marcellus Wallace.
Yep.
Is that pool? Now, it could be it's just a similar. It could be maybe a load of houses like that. But when I see that pool and I look at it where he's coming up the hill, those are the movies that just spring to my mind. And they're all set in LA. And then I go to myself, I think I've seen that house before.
Yeah. I'm sure the studio owns a bunch of houses.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing I always found out interesting about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like, the house looks so similar to the Home Alone house. And then I look it up and it's like, oh, those houses are right next door to each other. And that's because whatever the studio was owns all those houses. They just own them all.
Yeah, so they're able to just use them. So maybe the studio does own that house and they just use it for movies. Yeah, and he throws a chair through the glass window. He says, "And Waingro, where is he?"
Where is he?
How the hell would I know?
And that's it.
Shoots him. Brilliant. I've written down here, John. Very satisfying death.
Yeah, it's very similar like what he does earlier in the movie with the guy in the bank. He's like, you know, okay, you're not going to give me the answer I want, I see. So he just really quick, that's it. I gave you one shot. He doesn't give him a follow-up, no talk, nothing. Okay, yeah. Why the hell would I know? You got nothing? Fine, you're dead. Bye, that's what I'm here for anyway.
Yeah. Well, he knows that he's going to get him it.
Yeah, he'll get him.
Never lets him down.
And he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Wish he did.
Imagine he says them, sorry, I can't get you an out, and I don't know where Waingro is.
I wish he would have let him down with Waingro, but gave him the out. I can't get Waingro because he would have left.
Yeah, and it's like, we'll get to that, but it's like at the last minute too. It's at
he's like, oh yeah, that other thing, and we'll get to it in a second. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, but we'll get the bit. Yeah, so we'll cut that's what I'm saying. This movie's long, but there's loads of small scenes, you know, especially as it starts ramping up in the second half here. We've got Charlene with Marciano, walks into the apartment where the cops all are, and Sergeant Drucker, Sergeant Drucker, he tells her if she wants out, she has to betray Chris for the sake of Dominic. So he's manipulating her, using the child. And I hate how, like, Marciano was talking to her, even though I said she's a bitch earlier. She doesn't deserve to be treated like that. He's an asshole. So she's not very
like a dog.
Yeah, she's not very, very good at picking men. And, you know, I do like how Drucker probably doesn't care about her. Drucker just wants to get the job done, but it's good that he's there to tell him to shut up.
He's got some morals. Like, she's still a woman. You don't talk to her like that. Like, be respectful. It's not like you're an innocent party in this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it would be possibly. So sometimes I just think he just wants to catch Chris, and if she's upset and leaves, then they can't catch him.
Exactly.
She doesn't have to stay there.
No.
She's not under arrest or anything.
She volunteered.
Where they've got Marciano because of the stuff he's been doing, the smuggling, but she doesn't have to stay there. So he's got to keep her happy.
Yeah, keep her like what she wants. Like, basically this will give you the new free life you want. That's basically what he's promising.
Yeah. Well, if Marciano's giving her shit, she could turn and walk out.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing they can do.
So be nice to her a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So he's manipulating. He's trying to manipulate her into just catching Chris. He does. Look, me personally, he doesn't care about her. He doesn't care where Dominic goes or where she ends up after this.
No, not at all.
Nah. So Drugger connects with Vincent. And Charlie nods, they agreeing to what they've talked about. And this is where Vincent says, Hugh Benny has reformed his wayward life and become a born again good citizen. Sound more like a Simpsons character or something there. So he says Neil gets sold out by Wayne Grove, then went to work for Van Sant, who gets shot dead tonight. And Vincent suspects Neil will go after Wayne Grove, who is staying at the airport Marquee Hotel under the name Jameson. Tells his men to deploy a team there, and he tells Casillas Neil is still here. He can feel it.
Mm-hmm. He's not wrong, and he knows that's the bait.
Yeah, that's the bait, and I will get to that bait very soon. So Neil arrives at Edie's. She asks, "What did you do?" That was you, right? And this is it. This is the first time, apart from maybe his personal life and his feelings as a person, what he does for a living, which ultimately defines him, is the first time he's honest with her. He says, "It's what I don't do. I don't sell metal."
What a shock!
So that's off she went. That's the reason I was with you. I love metal salesmen. They're my ideal man. And she says, "Those other people were with you." She's disgusted. She can't believe it.
Well, people I'd be a little concerned because cops died too. Like, innocent people died in this kind of thing.
Well, I think that's what she's getting at. Those people were with you. Those people that carried out that robbery. I don't think she's getting at those people that, as in the bad guys that died, they're with you. That's the way he views it. That's the way he sees it. She's like, those people were with you. Those people that carried out that robbery and gunned down all those police officers. But he sees it, John, from his point of view of, and I do like this though, because it's what we go back to, what we said in the first part, that whether you're good or bad, these people are still humans. They're still three-dimensional rounded characters. They've all got problems in their personal lives, problems that we can relate to. He says, "My friend Michael," and then he hesitates. It's the way De Niro delivers the line. You can tell he's heartbroken. His friend died.
Yeah.
Despite the circumstances, he lost his friend. But he resolves this in his own mind, the same way Michael would resolve it in his own mind, probably. He knew the risks. He didn't have to be there.
Exactly. I mean, that's the only way you can in these kind of situations, to be honest. If that's the job you take, you guys know it up front. It's, it's almost like being an athlete in certain aspects. Like, the risk. This is part of it.
Yeah, and he gave him an out as well when they were discussing.
And he basically pulled him aside and told him, like, don't do this. And, he made the choice.
And not only that, him and Michael must have been thick as thieves, because in that scene, Michael says to him, I go with you. And he went to him, "Not this time." He says, "You got to make a choice yourself." So it was totally on Michael's shoulders, but he probably still has a bit of guilt there, because he was the one that pressed ahead with the robbery on several occasions, even when Nate advised him against it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this lane, this famous lane, people say, it rains, you get wet. The boxers say that all the time. So he says to her, he starts ordering her about, "Get packed, let's go." And Edie runs out. Neil follows her. She's like, "Why did you do this to me? Who are you?"
I mean, I feel the same way, even though she does come around a little quick on it.
Yeah, she does come around very quick. Sure, everything's quick with him.
Yeah, exactly. Everything just works out fast.
Yeah, although I think RoboCop delivered this line better when he said, "Who are you?"
RoboCop delivers every line better.
Yeah. And yeah, who is he? And I do like that scene up on the hill where he's like, trying to console her, and she's distraught. I remember in the making of, she particularly didn't want to do this movie. She says she didn't like anybody in it. Nobody's normal, she says. And Michael Mann told her, but that's why we want you.
Yeah, I remember seeing
You're
this interview. You're the
yeah,
normal
'cause
one.
you're the normal one, and she's kind of us in a
Yeah,
certain point of view. We're looking at these guys and going,
like their world is crazy. Like the bubble they live in is insane to live that way every day.
yeah. I mean, he's a murderer too. He can justify it whatever way he wants and say, like, well,
You only have to convince yourself that what you're doing is correct. You don't have to convince really anybody else. As long as you can put your head on the pillow at night, then I guess
yeah,
that's a big hurdle to jump over.
yeah. And we'll see it later, even with Wayne Grove. Even though as much as I love seeing Wayne Grove killed, it's like he's able to just walk in the hotel, shoot somebody, leave, and then his intention was to leave and make a new life with this woman.
Yeah,
He barely knows him, but we'll get to that, John. But the next day, he says about take the key for go get the Camaro, and there's cash. It's at this address. And this is weird because you're saying friendly comes around. She asked, like, when will you let me leave? So in other words, he didn't let her leave the night before.
yeah, guess
But
not.
he was like, well, if you want to go, you can go. And then she says, but will you let me leave later? And that's when she asks about when is this going to be over, and he says 22 hours. And then he says they're like, it'll be different. So I don't know. It seems a bit weird. Talk about like, I just feel as if there was more there that they've cut away that we didn't see.
Yeah, it has to be because, like I said, it feels very fast to her being like, I feel like there's a lot of coping that would have to go on with this, but she comes around real fast. But like we kind of talked about in part one, she's kind of lonely in the city, and now she's kind of hitched her wagon to this guy, and she must really like him. So she's like, maybe it's easier for her to jump that hurdle than we think.
Well, I think we're going to get this scene later on, John, where I think it shows that she accepts him for who he is. I mean, at the end of the day, she doesn't know everything.
Mm-mm.
He probably hasn't told her everything. I think if she'd found out that he was there to kill people, she would be away. She
I would
doesn't
think
know.
so. I'd hope
Yeah,
so.
she just thinks. What I mean is, if he had a shootout in a bank and that was on the TV and there was cops dead, okay, she can maybe resolve that in her mind that it was a bad situation and he just had to escape. But the way he murders people throughout the movie, if she knew that, I think she would be away. So she does come round, but it's like everything she's fell hard. I feel that she's fell hard for this guy. And look, we seen earlier in the movie that she had been kind of like, we don't know if that was the first time she seen him was in the library that day. He could have been in that library loads of times doing research for all other robberies and all, and she's had her eye on him for months.
Yeah, that's true. She did because she said she's seen him there a bunch of times. So that means he must have caught her eye.
Yeah, but she's obviously fell hard for him. So we cut to Vincent's home, and his wife Justine is making breakfast for another man. So again, as I said in part one, this is kind of like you see, like there's scenes in this where you see the start of the day, during the day when they're trying to outwit or catch each other, and then the end of the day when they come home to their family. So we've got we have we had a couple of we have Chris's sorry, we had a brief scene with Michael's wife finding out her husband's dead. Then we have the scene with Charlene and what she's coming home to, and now then we had coming home to Edie and what they've had to deal with because of what happened that day, and now we're having Vincent coming home to his shitty home life, having to deal with this shit. And as I say, we see John Connor's stepdad from Terminator 2 sitting there.
Yep, and the piece of shit from Candyman also. That's the guy who's cheating on what Virginia Madsen in Candyman. So he just always plays a sleaze.
Yeah, he's brilliant, but I like him.
Yeah, he's a good character actor. You always know his face. And in this movie, he's probably actually the most innocent out of the ones we just mentioned. It's not his fault. How the hell was he supposed to know?
It's not. And just before that, I made a note here. So she's making, this is the next morning, she's making breakfast.
Yeah, they were up all night banging.
Yeah, but this goes back to one of the first scenes in the movie. Because she was having it, well, cut it out, whatever, having sex with Vincent at the start of the movie. And she says to him, are you going to take me out for breakfast? And he says, I don't have time. I'm meeting Bosco.
Yeah.
And then even she says, well, you got time for coffee? I don't have time for coffee. So
this guy had time.
This guy had time. This is what she wants. She wants to get up in the morning, even if they've been having sex all night. She wants to get up and make breakfast for her man. She wants a man that's going to be there. She wants to make breakfast for him. And Vincent doesn't have time for that. Here's a man She mentions earlier about degrading herself with Ralph, but here's a man that she doesn't care who it is. This is what she wants in her life.
And she's
And
making a show of it for Vincent. Like, that's the whole thing, is that she had to make sure that Vincent saw this. She doesn't care.
yeah, well, that's a shitty thing to do.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's an understatement for me, isn't it? But she says, "This is my friend Ralph," and he says, "You didn't know, you didn't tell me you were," and he's like, "Oh my god." And you're right, he seems a good guy. He doesn't know that this woman's married, which again, also kind of like for example, okay, yeah, people can lie, okay, but what I'm saying is that it just shows you that Vincent has no presence at home at all, because here's a man sitting in the house and there's nothing around the home for him to go, "Are you sure you're not married? Because there's pictures of you and your husband on the wall here."
I honestly, because this
There's
is
men stuff about the house. Like, sorry to call it there, mate. Say, for example, yourself there. Would there be stuff about the home there that if another man came in would realize there's a man here?
well, I don't. When I watch this movie, I really think, because this is his third marriage and her second, I think that's her house based on like how she dresses and all the stuff in there. And I think he moved in. Like, I think that he moved into her house.
Well, he does say that. I want to get to that because that's a brilliant speech he gives. But what I'm saying is that it might be his third marriage. And yeah, okay, yes, and this, and I have no doubt that there's people that are together, that there's men that just let the women run the household, as in, like, I don't mean cooking and cleaning. What I mean is that decoration and
Yeah.
and ornaments and things. That's how you know a bachelor pad, because when you come into a house like mine, a woman's not maybe going to put up with this alien head here. She's not
Well,
going to put up. She's not going to put up with that.
well, that's why my wife is cool, because we have 3 movie posters up in our living room. So, like, you might not know it, but like, I just feel like he's not there. So, like, even if like this was her house, she decorates it, and like, who knows what kind of pictures are hanging there. It probably feels like it's just her house when this guy walks in. Doesn't feel like Al Pacino lives there. And he doesn't. And it's also showing us he doesn't live there.
But he doesn't. He's out all night, and
Yeah.
the thing is, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about. I get what you're saying. You're right. You're 100% right. I'm just talking about. There's no evidence that this is a married woman.
No, none. And she
this
doesn't even
house.
like tip it, and it doesn't even resonate with this guy.
Yeah, because he totally oblivious. And what I'm saying is, of course, she could lie. Even if there was stuff around the house, she could say, "Oh, my husband's dead," because she says that you're living with dead. Maybe he either off there, and she's told him took her wedding ring off and told him a load of bullshit. "Oh, my husband's dead," or "My husband left me." You know what I mean? But it's why he says he didn't know you were, and then he's like, "Oh my god!" But I like how the first thing Vincent asks is, "Where's Lauren?"
Because he cares about her. Like, when you're doing all this, where's your daughter?
Yeah, or maybe he knows that there's going to be a scene here, and he doesn't want her to see it.
That's also true. Exactly.
Yep.
Like, maybe he doesn't want to cause like because it's, obviously he stays calm at the beginning.
Yeah, and but that just shows how much of a good guy he is too. But he's thinking of a girl, a child.
Mm-hmm.
She's a teenager, but a child that isn't his.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks of her more than her own dad does.
Which is a shame. Yeah, good
Yeah.
step parent. Which as somebody who's had step parents, there are good ones.
Yeah, and that pains me. Obviously, being a single father, her dad not giving a shit about her, that annoys me.
Yeah, I get that. Listen,
Well,
I understand. I grew up, like, my parents got divorced when I was 4. I had a stepfather and a stepmother, and my stepmother's great. So, but it does cause conflict with your parents. I understand that too.
yeah, exactly. But she says, to him, as you said, is don't you even get angry? And this is the speech. I want to read this. He says, "I'm angry, yeah. I'm very angry, Ralph. You can ball my wife if you want to. You can lounge around here on her sofa in her ex-husband's dead tech postmodernistic bullshit house if you want to."
Do not get to watch my fucking television set.
Sorry, I stepped out of character there. But he mentions the house, so it's her ex-husband's house.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't. Does that
has
feel like
moved in.
this kind of house that he would live in? I'm sorry, like, he's a cop. It just doesn't feel like a cop's house. It never did. Like, so it makes sense that it's her house, because look at the way she's
Yeah.
dressing. It feels like somebody who would be in postmodern. That's exactly what it is. That bullshit. And he wants that TV. It's like a 13-inch fucking TV.
That's the only comeback he can really have, to be honest.
Yeah, that's all he's got.
He understands the situation. He understands he's been a shitty husband, and she's been bitching him about this for God knows how long, and he accepts it. He accepts it because he talks about it in the coffee scene.
Oh, he's aware. He's
He
aware he's a
knows.
shitty husband.
He can't blame Ralph. He can't blame his wife to a certain extent. Well, he does when they get into an argument, but all he's got is the television set. And but I do like the fact he says, yeah, dead tech, postmodernistic bullshit house. So he's in his third marriage. His other marriages went to shit. He's probably been living in like some wee squalor, some wee shitty apartment somewhere. He's met her, and then they've got married, and she said, well, or could have moved in before or after the marriage. Come live with me.
Yeah.
I've got this big, massive house that my ex-husband built, and he's no longer there, so you can move in.
Yeah, cops just don't live in cops are known for not having the highest of salaries. He couldn't afford that on a cop salary, so yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so he's moved in there, and he takes his TV set. But on the way, I like this on the way because he got angry about it's kind of he knows that this wasn't working. He's of course he's angry, but it's a controlled anger, and he makes a big deal of the television set. And, but I like how he keeps his composure and just turns to her and says, "I never cheated on you."
Yep, like I might have done some other shit, but that's one thing I didn't do.
Yeah, and then she retorts with something, but I love how he says, "Oh, I made Ralph fuck you because it makes me feel good." And she says to him, she may be she may be stoned, but Vincent is walking through their life dead, which goes back to the dream and everything else, you know.
Pretty much like you're just going through. I might be stoned and like cutting off my emotions that way, but you're already gone. So what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah, she's pretty much saying to him like, "You may as well not be here, you know. But, you know, you may as well be dead, or you may as well not be here. You know, doesn't matter what I do; it shouldn't affect you. You're not here."
Yeah, exactly. You're not a part of this life.
Yeah, which is sad too. I do feel sorry for her on some level. I mean, she's got problems, as we said in the first part. She's neglecting her daughter. Her daughter's she doesn't need. She notices she's too like okay. Vincent might be so wrapped up in his job, but she's too wrapped up in what Vincent's not doing to notice that her daughter is depressed.
Yeah, at the very end of the day, you two are just not being, and of course her real father, are all not being good parents to this girl, as we see.
Yeah, exactly. So they all have problems. She's not perfect. I do feel sorry for her because she wants to have a normal relationship, and Vincent obviously isn't a good husband.
Not for nothing, not to give relationship advice, but when someone's got 2 divorces under the belt, maybe don't hitch your wagon to them.
One is enough.
Yeah, but if he's got 2, is he gonna really be that great?
No, that's very true. But there's people out there do that. There's people do it.
Oh, I know. My father-in-law's been married. He's on his 5th marriage. So
Jesus, who's your father-in-law? Richard Burton?
I just tell him to fill out the divorce papers while he's there filling out the marriage license, save himself some time.
That's crazy. You know? But I have heard people say it. Who I won't do it again, and next thing they're engaged again.
Yeah.
So
if they try to make the woman happy.
Yeah. Listen, I cannot give relationship advice whatsoever. Vincent. I'm like Vincent, you know.
Hey, no, you're more like Neil. He never got married.
That's true, but at least I've got furniture in my house.
You do have furniture, nice furniture.
Thanks, John. Thanks. The dog likes it. Dog likes it. So we cut the next scene. It's Neil and Nate. He explains his new out, and he tells him Chris is gone to look for Charlene.
Because the sun rises and sets with her, so he has to.
Yeah. And this is where we see Nate kind of turn with his drink and kind of somber off into his establishment. That night, Neil tells Edie he doesn't know what he's doing. And if she wants to walk, to go now or come with him, all he knows is that there's no point in him going anymore if it's going to be alone without her. And they hug. Mm-hmm. So this is her kind of reconciling with him and saying, I'm going to go with you. So, yeah, I know what this but doesn't remind me of it. I'm not saying they got this from this, right? It just reminds me of when they were going to make the first Batman movie. And the only way Sam Hamm and Tim Burton could nail the character down was that Bruce Wayne, Batman, he's fucked up, right? This guy, he's not seeing. A guy who puts a suit on like this and goes out, beats criminals up in the night. Something not right with him.
He's got a mental, there's a lot of shit that needs to get worked out in therapy for him to be doing that.
Yeah. They basically says he's insane.
Yeah.
So he meets a girl, meets Vicky Vale, and he starts to go seeing. And he starts to question, why am I doing this? And that's the conflict that's supposed to happen in Batman 89. That's the conflict within Bruce Wayne. You know, does he go with this girl or does he track down the Joker? And it's kind of like Neil at this point in this movie. He has met this woman, obviously really likes her. I'm not going to say he's fell for her as much as she's fell for him, because I question whether or not the man can fall in love because he's a psychopath. But he's questioning. It's almost like for the first time in his criminal career, he's questioning his motivation and his life and who he is. And we see it here in this scene where he says, and he's basically saying to her here now, if you don't come with me, I'm not going, I'm not leaving.
No, he's like, I need you. Like, essentially, like, you're, I won't do it. Like, I've hitched my wagon to you. I'm fully committed to you now.
Yeah. He's basically saying, you're my future. And
Mhm.
if you're not my future, then I don't know what is.
There's no future. Like, I've seen like what I want now, and I understand, and it's all coming in perspective, and it's not what I've been doing.
Yeah, but that's its quick, brief scene there about them reconciling. Basically, it was 22. He says in 22 hours it'll be different. He says you can go tonight. So that's basically them showing this is not going.
Exactly.
So we cut to the car driving down the road. They call Vincent from Drucker. He asks Charlene to show herself at the window. So that's where I am. So this is basically the scene where Chris is driving down. He said that he went to look for her. So where is she?
She's like held up in like in some sort of apartment, I guess. Like, is this her apartment? I don't know whose apartment this is, but for some reason, Chris would think to go check here.
Well, it never explains how he finds her, because
No.
she was at her home and asked for Marciano to come and get her, and then they go to the apartment. This apartment. It's
Mhm.
almost like he brings her there, but Chris doesn't know about Marciano.
No, so I don't understand why, but I guess this is like something will tip Chris off to like where this is. Like, maybe it's something similar how they put Waingro out there. Like, this is the tip Chris off.
Yeah, they put it out in the street.
Yeah, and like this is where, because he said he's going to look for her, so it's like he's going to check the spots where he thinks she's going to be.
And that's their trap. That's the cops' trap. So that's what
Which they do have a trap set up for him. It's just like Charlene is able to tip him off.
Yeah. Wonder why they just didn't go to the house.
Yeah, you would think that, but maybe they figured that, maybe they thought that Chris would think that's too obvious because he's smart.
Must watch that scene again. It's almost like Marciano brings her to the apartment, but it could be a safe. Did they mention something about a safe house? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a safe house that she's to go to if the shit hits the fan.
That's
Chris
very
can meet her
possible.
there.
Yeah, so maybe that's what this is, because like, she's standing outside and he's like not surprised to see her standing there.
Yeah, because as I say, they ask her to show herself at the window, and she goes out to the balcony, and Chris goes out of the car. He smiles. She gives him the hand signal.
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
and he recognizes and his face drops. And great
Yeah.
facial acting by Val Kilmer, because he doesn't speak in this entire scene.
No.
So just great face acting, like to illustrate how much pain he's in, first of all, to even be doing this, like because he's willing to risk it for her. And then the
Yeah.
heartbreak of like realizing that they already got to her and this is it for their relationship.
Yeah, it's brilliant acting from Val Kilmer, as we've touched on in Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Such an amazing actor. And yeah, he's brilliant in this film. And as you say, she kind of smiles a wee bit herself because she's relieved that he gets back into the car. And as he's driving away, you just see his face. But I almost feel as if this is different to Neil's character when we get to it. Because the thing is, I feel with Neil is that once he leaves Edie, he can't go back. He can't go back. Even if he survives, he can't go back to her because the cops are going to pick her up and tell her everything.
Yeah,
And there's
and
no way she's going to get back with him again.
No, once they tell her the whole truth and everything that he's done, and I'm sure they'll over exaggerate it even more to make him look worse.
Yeah. Whereas like Charlene knows, so I always feel as if he could reconnect with her at some stage, but the cops will be watching her for a long time, I think. And she goes back inside and says it's not him, it's not Chris, and he leaves. But Drucker instructs the cops to check him out. So they radio back and say it's not him, it's a John Peterson.
Yeah, and they fall right for this.
No go, Vince. Chris drives away, but I love how Drucker turns to her and says, "Can I get you a coffee or anything? Anything else I can do for you?"
He's a nice guy. This is the exact same character he pretty much plays in Free Willy, by the way.
He's not a nice guy, John. He's not.
No. No.
I told you, He just wants to get his job done so he can go back and say, "Oh, we got him." He doesn't care about her.
Well, how many such times like this is their job? Like how many different times have they been in similar situations with other people? So it's like, for them it's like being a doctor almost. Like I can't get connected to these people because I do it every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
it's just manipulation. That's what it is.
It is. It's the tactics they teach them.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Vincent calls the desk of the hotel where he has a man watching for. Then he calls the surveillance on the same floor as Wayne Grow. Nothing. They said he went for Ace, and when he comes off the phone, he says, Vincent says, "You know what? Neil is gone." Bam, and he says, "Flying like a bird." And Cassell says, "We still got bait," and that's when Vincent says, "Got, what do we got? Bon voyage, motherfucker."
He's pretty much accepting he's gone now.
Yeah, he's a fail. I do know the really funny thing is at this stage of the movie, he's on that trajectory of getting away.
Yeah, he would. He would be away. Like the bait's there, but if he doesn't take it, he can get away scot free. And Hannah's right. Vincent's right.
Yeah, at this stage, the feeling he has is right because he's not going for Wayne Grow at this stage. He's leaving with Edie. He's getting his new out. Or he's got his new out. He's leaving with Edie because he hasn't got word of where Wayne Grow is. So it's kind of like that, like I said in the first part about the fate. You know what I mean? Decisions equal consequence equal fate. At this stage in their lives, he is leaving with Edie. That is
Yep.
in his mind. That's where he's going. And Vincent Hanna has set the bait to try and catch him. And at this stage, he's not taking the bait. So Vincent Hanna has got this feeling about fate, about he's gone. He's not, he's
It's
not
over.
taking it. It's over. He's been up fucking for days. He basically says he's going to this hotel to have a bath. And did he say have a bath and sleep for a month?
I think he said sleep for a month.
This is for a month. I'm thinking about the bath. But this is a great part of the movie. Just wee bit of comedy here, just to alleviate the situation, John, where he's on his way home and he stops at the lights and he throws his TV out of the passenger side of the car.
He didn't give a shit about the TV. He was just proving a point.
No, he didn't. He didn't. That just shows you say he doesn't care about it. It was the only thing he could get angry about.
Yeah, he just had to find something to get mad at. It was in his view, and he was just like, "Fuck it, I'll do the TV, make my little speech." But yeah, he took it with him, and he's like, "I don't give a shit about this."
I don't need this shit, yeah. So he gets to the hotel room and he finds Lauren in a bloody bath. She's slit her wrist and her leg, and he starts to tie a tourniquet. So very shocking scene, John. I like how this builds up where he walks in. You see the wet patch on the carpet. He just walks past it.
Yeah, because he's in his own world. He doesn't even realize that that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, anybody else would have noticed the wet patch as soon as they walked in.
Yeah, but like you said a second ago, he also hasn't slept in days.
Yeah, I don't think he slept for like a couple of days. I don't think he has. I assume he hasn't because he was up all night. But he maybe went to his hotel and slept during the day and then came back. You know what I mean? That night. But he did say I'm going to sleep for a month, so maybe he hasn't. And yeah, but it's where he goes out and I think he goes out to the balcony and then I think that's shot where he looks out over the traffic and then he comes walking back in again, and that's when he notices the wet patch. But he's very cautious about opening the door because he doesn't know what's going on. And when he opens it, that's where you see that shocking scene of her lying in the bath with all the blood. And him being a cop, he generally knows what to do. He ties the tourniquets around her arm and her leg, ripping the towels. And we cut then to the hospital where Vincent rushes Lauren into A&E where Justine is already waiting. Again, I don't know. Listen, I know this is a serious part of this movie, but I got the Ace Ventura vibes when he was running into that hospital. And he's like, "A doctor! I need a doctor! Get a doctor here!"
I can see that. It's just because it's Al Pacino, man. Like even when he's like wrapping her up, I'm just picturing Al Pacino like he's like he's doing it all right. And it's picturing his voice. Yeah, and like I know I'm supposed to take it seriously, but I get it too. Also, it's Natalie Portman, which probably in 1995 they didn't think Natalie Portman would be Natalie Portman, but when you look at it, it's like it's hard not to see her. It's weird.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know. Like I said in part one, it's like I always forget she's in this, but she's obviously a lot younger than Leon, but she's still pretty young in this as well. And yeah, she hasn't really changed, like you know what I mean, facial ways and stuff. Like
no, it's still she's always got that soft features. Yeah.
So they're in the hospital there, and they take Lauren and they start working on her. And Al Pacino, being again, as I say, a cop, works in homicide and stuff, whatever, he starts telling them what she needs. But the next scene, the nurse informs Justine and Vincent Lauren's out of surgery. She's stable and she's doing good. But Justine she cries. Why did she do this to herself? And Vincent tells her it's going to be all right. I ain't going anywhere. So that's what I was saying about their conversation earlier, mate, as well, about him saying, I'm not going anywhere. So at this stage in their lives, like, Need's getting away.
Yeah, they're just accepting it. Like, it's like, and he should have stayed. Like, that's the crazy thing. He should have stayed. It's very similar to like when Neil like should have just kept going and this all was over.
Yeah, well, that's like you says there. He thinks that he's not taking the bait,
Hmm.
so he's probably thinking, well, again, what's the point either?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And does it also show? I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying there as well. Something like this, your working arrangements should be secondary to your family. That's a stepdaughter, but in some way too, it is. Again, it goes back to what I say about him caring so much about his stepdaughter, but it's the stepdaughter that has made him stop thinking about work for a while.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
like you would think, like I'm just saying, like I don't think there's even a scenario, even if it's like I can't imagine. I guess this is his like white whale or something. He's got to go get it, but it's like this should be more important at this moment, especially since like it might actually save your marriage.
Yeah.
But
Well, this is something which is either gonna bring them closer or drive them totally apart. But we'll get to that. We cut the Neil and Edie in the car driving to the airport, and Neil calls Nate again,
hmm
and he tells him, "Planes in the air now. It'll be right on time." And then he tells him where Wayne Grew is, where
yeah,
he says, first of all, he says, "Sorry, John." First of all, he says, "If you still give a shit," which I figured you wouldn't, and Neil says, "You figured right." So the reason Nate told him was because he figured that Neil was so far gone that he wasn't going to go and do this.
well, here's the thing. Why tell him then? I just don't even think you bring it up. That's what bothers me a little
Yeah.
bit. It's like, why bring it up at the very end? Like, if he didn't bring it up at all, he would have never thought about it. But it's like incepting somebody. You put it in his mind, and now he's going to fixate on it. And honestly, when he hangs up and like that's great face acting by De Niro in that, because you could just see him like going through it in his head, like I should go straight. I shouldn't go off here. I shouldn't, like, I'm fine. Everything's gonna go okay, but he can't. It's an obsession.
Yeah, and you're right. It is great face acting because when he comes off the phone and well, Nate first says to him, "You're home free," and he comes off the phone. Nate says, sees his face and says, "What is it?" And he says, "Nothing. I'm home free." It's like Anthony Perkins at the end of Psycho, or it's you see what was the other one about all the emotions? Bob Hoskins at the end of The Long Good Friday. I get a feeling that Michael Mann may have seen that film, especially with the nail into the floor. I know it wasn't the first movie to do it. Let's go
That's
back to
true.
let's go back to Christ. But
Yeah.
but even just the facial, and I know actors do this. They say the best actors are the ones that you can tell what they're thinking. I mentioned that I think in the Dog Day Afternoon podcast, I think, but he goes through a range of emotions, the likes of a Norman Bates at the end of Psycho or a Bob Hoskins at the end of The Long Good Friday, where you can so many range of emotions of I did it. It's almost like a weight's lifting off his shoulder at one stage. He smiles, he kind of laughs. He's like, I'm getting away and I've got my woman and all is good. And then you see like something change in his face as like an anger comes over him. Like you say, he just can't let it go. He can't let this slide.
No, and if he did, and while he's going through all these emotions, he's driving along, and I love the shot when they go in the tunnel. This is the shot I was talking about, and like
And
the
your bus.
white, yes, yeah, in Los Angeles, and like how when they get in the tunnel, like the white light is just completely surrounding them. I love it. It's
Yep.
beautiful.
You mentioned that earlier, and
Yeah.
I thought that's the shot he's talking
Oh,
about.
you are. So you were correct.
100%. I didn't want to bring it up earlier because I want to talk about it now. And the thing is that I love this too. And I wanted to ask you, what do you interpret that as? A
Well,
a baptism, redemption, a new life, or death?
always took it as a new life because it gets dark again. It's a second of that. It's a second of hope. Like he has it, and then it's the fleeting because the camera adjusts and it's gone.
Because he changes his mind.
And that's what I mean. It's heartbreaking. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Flight. Uh,
That's Denzel Washington. Is that
y-
Robert Zemeckis?
yeah,
I haven't seen it. I heard it's really good, based on a true story.
kind of. They took from true stories, but basically he's an alcoholic, and they need him to stay sober this whole time and just like get through a trial. Like essentially, it's not even a full trial. It's very just like it's a procedure. He's like, just sober up, we'll be fine. And they linger on this little bottle of alcohol, and like it's like he walked away from it already, and then the shot just is him grabbing it, and it's got like a sting in the score of like, you were right there, and you just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know it's heartbreaking, and you're right, but there's part of me, and we'll get to it, that maybe this says more about me, because that's what I like about this as a character study, or about these characters and about the flaws that in human beings and stuff. There's part of me that wants him to go and do Wayne grow because of what he done.
Yeah, it's a
I
satisfying
want him to.
conclusion for him.
Yeah, I want him to do it, but knowing what we know, I want him to get away. And funny, when I was watching the making of, the producer said about, he mentions that himself. He's like, in the end, you want De Niro to shoot Pacino and get away, and he credits Robert De Niro for that. He says his acting, he makes you empathize or sympathize with these horrible characters. That's all down to his acting, and I get that feeling every time I watch this movie. As much I actually like Al Pacino as an actor more than De Niro, I like Al Pacino as a person more because of how he comes across in real life, and that may just be down to the way Al Pacino is able to do interviews and Robert De Niro isn't, right?
Yeah,
But when I watch this, I want Robert De Niro to win.
I know.
And
That's the movie. That's the movie tricking you. The movie's manipulating you to believe that a hardened criminal like that, you feel sympathy for him over the cop who's not wrong. Like, this guy has killed innocent people, but you're hoping he gets away. You hope like that. And, a lot of it's Edie next to him too. Like another one doing good face acting here. Cause
yeah,
you feel so bad for her.
yeah, and I'll feel worse as we go on. But listen, John, that was brilliant. Actually, that's a great take that you see it as a new life. And then he changes in that moment, he changes his mind and it goes back to darkness again. Yeah, I mean, I love that shot as well. And I just wrote this down. I mean, a baptism, a redemption, a new life is a death. Is the white light actually, has he already made the decision? Is the white light death? But light is more in line with good, or as you say, or life. Like they do these movies, like, for example, probably Look Who's Talking. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but where a child's being born, and you go through a white light, and it's the child's coming out, right?
Yep.
Because I don't know, I'm not very religious, but light is like life, right? And
Yeah,
darkness is death.
Exactly. The
And
light's turning on, then they're shutting off.
And it's shutting off. Yeah, but people say you see a white light when you die. You know what I mean? And that's you moving to going to the other side. So I don't know. Maybe it's ambiguous, but I do.
You could also look at it as being reborn. Like
that.
When you see the light, you're being reborn.
Yeah, reborn, as you said, or new life, and that's why I said like redemption. But you're right; that could be in that moment. He's made one decision. There's the light, and then all of a sudden, bam! He makes the next decision, which is he's made that decision. Go back to what I was saying: decisions, consequence, and fate. And Neil veers off path, and he says, "I got to take care of something." Edie actually asks herself, is there time? So she's fully in now. She knows there's not much time. And he says, there's time. And as I wrote a wee note here, like Wayne Grove was the perfect distraction for Neil to get away. That was the perfect distraction for him to just get away. If he had,
because they're all looking at him.
They're all wait. Yes, he couldn't let it slide, as I say. So he stops outside the hotel and he says, I'll be right back. Leave it running. And Neil calls registration to get Wayne Grove's room number, posing as room service. And it cuts to Edie's hands, sweaty and shaking. So there she's getting a bad feeling about this.
That's all going to get worse.
Yeah, so she's getting, as I said, again, fate. She's getting a bad feeling. Something bad's going to happen. And Neil goes up the back stairs and he sees the cop on the desk, because they've got a shotgun sitting beside him. I don't think there's too many receptionists have shotguns sitting beside him, John, is there?
Not at most hotels. Not at most hotels. Maybe a shady motel, like, one of those 30-minute ones. But that's it.
Do you think Mr. Toomey had any weapons behind his desk at the Bates Motel?
I'm picturing a shitty little handgun like this big that's down underneath the desk.
That would be his style, or down he's wearing cowboy boots and he's got one down his cowboy boots.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's not a big gun, but he thinks he's tough for having it.
Yeah. Come on, psycho! You're only picking women. Yeah, Norman obviously has a kitchen knife.
Obviously,
obviously he doesn't have a shotgun. Okay, so yeah. So where are we now?
So now he's going to go up there. He's going to impersonate a security guard essentially because he's going to pull the fire alarm.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, he's in the he's in the lift and he checks his weapon, and then he goes up and he hits the fire alarm. Now, I made a wee note here is that the going through this whole business of him going through the hotel is just reminiscent of the first scene we see him in, where he goes through the hospital and he's posing as a paramedic, and he steals the ambulance. Only now he's posing as room service or a porter or somebody that works in the hotel. And when he hits that fire alarm, one cop says he's staying as Waingro is not moving. Waingro doesn't care if the hotel's burning down. He's not moving. And the other cop says he's going to go and check the stairs. And we cut to Vincent and Justine in the hospital. So here's our last heavy scene, I feel, with these two guys here, where we get a resolution here, really, John, don't we?
Yeah. We get it, like, basically, like, them discussing everything and, like, how's this going to work?
Yeah, well, Vincent asked does Justine want him to call Lauren's dad? So he's still thinking about the dad. He's giving him all the opportunities in the world. Justine says no, because she picked him. Or he's away somewhere, but she picked him because she picked this place. And that's where his beeper goes off. And Justine asks, is there any way I could work out between them? And he's honest. He says, yeah, he says, I wish I could say yes. All I am is what I'm going after. And he tells her, I'm not what you want. He sees that with Ralph, I'm not what you want.
Yeah, he's like, because I'm not going to be that. Like, he's accepted it now at this point that it's never going to be me. Like, I think he's tried so many times, but I think he's finally, even like maybe talking with Neil, made him come to that conclusion that, like, it's never going to work for me like this.
But no, the good thing is, she says, then we'll go if you have to. And he says, I'll stay. Even though he's made the decision, this is over. I'm not what you want. I'll stay.
I think that's the I don't think he means that though.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think he knows that she's going to tell him to go. I think he already knows that.
Right, okay. Fair enough. But she urges him on but I do like the fact that you can tell that she still loves him and he still loves her.
Yeah, there's still love there. There's love in plenty of marriages that don't work out because of the way you live your lives.
Yeah, because it's not like they don't like each other or hate each other. They actually do love each other. It's just because they're just on separate paths.
Unfortunately, it just not every marriage ends in like an all-out war. It's just like we have different lives, and it's not going to work for us as a couple.
Yeah, and she says for him to call her and let her know she's okay, and says to him, take care, stay safe, and even he turns back and stuff and says, I will. And he runs down the stairs. So I've just asked, I just put a wee note down here. What if he had stayed? Right? She gets what she wants and needs. Neil gets away, but Vincent isn't who he wants to be.
No, Vincent, if Neil gets away after killing Waingro and he stayed there, I don't know if Vincent could take that. Yeah, I don't think he'd be able to handle that.
He probably would have went to New Zealand to track him down. Would have Heat Part 2.
It would have been the end of Point Break where Keanu was in wherever the wave was with the Australian police. Like it somehow.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see Vincent Hanna in New Zealand in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt tracking Neil McCauley down.
Yep, and then he gets his man and tosses the badge away. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. Neil McCauley's working in a bookstore with Edie.
What am I seeing here?
Oh no, I'm actually a salesman now, but I sell books.
Not the Neil McCauley I know.
Hi. That's it. What does it say? Never rent a book that you can't walk away from. Never start reading a book that you can't walk away from within 30 pages. You can imagine Vincent Hanna, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
So at this stage, we see him going down the steps, and I like how, like, usually, the good guy wins, the bad guy doesn't, and that's the way this movie generally goes. Good overcomes evil, but when he runs down them stairs, I get the feeling that you don't know if he's going to die.
Yeah, you don't know, actually, I guess.
I feel it has that feel about it.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. I don't know for me when I'm watching the movie, the first time at least, you don't realize what's going to end up happening until like he's out of there. Like you think he could still pull it off.
Yeah, we cut to Neil approaching Waingro's room. He says he's security. Waingro says he can't leave, and I like how about we come out there and talk about it, brother?
Fucking good actor again, like we said.
He's really good, and he takes the latch off, and of course Neil hears that, and he kicks the door in, bursts through the door, breaking his nose. Pistol beats him, which is pretty. I like that camera angle of him getting hit with the gun, and he's kind of all over the place, kind of shaking. And when he falls back onto the sofa, he can't look at Neil. he can't look, and he's like, "Look at me,"
Mhm.
and I really like that. He's like, "Look at me." He makes him see his face before he dies, which is exactly what he does to those girls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Neil doesn't know that, but it's
We know.
kind of karma. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's great.
He's going to make sure he knows. He's going to make sure he knows I'm the one that killed you.
Exactly. And I love that because, this guy's it is a very satisfying death because he deserves it. And they center it too. I like how he's in the center of that couch right as he kills him and shows us. And like, we get the satisfying conclusion that Waingros had coming since the very beginning.
And I feel as if I could be wrong here that they cut out the headshot
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he shoots him in the chest once or twice or whatever, and then he can't breathe, and then you see then he move the gun up, and then you hear another shot, and then the breathing stops.
Well, I think he
I-
shot him in the lungs, so that's why he's gasping for air, and then he shoots him in the head. Like, he gives him a terrible death.
Oh, I shot him right there, right in the center.
Yeah,
And then he moves up, he shoots him in the head. But I'm wondering, did they even film the headshot? Did they cut it out? I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they filmed it. Is this rated PG-13 or R? Even because
I think it's either a 15 or an 18 here.
Okay, so so I think it might be because I'm wondering because like it's not the most gory movie, believe it or not. Like there's a lot of people who die, but it's not very gory.
No, it's not very gory, but
There are some brutal shots though. So yeah, so I'm just curious because like, do we see? Because like, yeah, like we don't see the like bullet then like the head exploding or anything like that. Would have been cool though.
yeah, it would have been. I thought you did, but when I was watching the game last night, I was like, oh, they don't show that.
No, they kind of imply it.
They imply it. Like they implying it could have just been shot like that.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know if they actually have it where they shot the head. Maybe this was how it was planned.
It could have been planned. They got John just to see him move it up and then bang, and you don't hear him anymore, and that's it. You know he's gone. Neil knocks the cop unconscious. Sorry, that's what I said. So Neil knocks the cop unconscious. Remember when he comes out and he's got his hands up? He goes,
He backs
"Put
him
your
into the
hands up."
wall. Yeah.
The cop just didn't have the balls to shoot him. I mean,
No,
could he have had
and
the authority to shoot him?
And Neil had so much confidence that he was going to overpower this guy pretty easily. It really wasn't much competition.
Yeah, he knocks him. He doesn't kill him. He beats him with a stick or the bat.
The nightclub.
Yeah, knocks him out. In the meantime, Vincent's helicoptering in. He's got his own helicopter, and he sees he helicopters in. Now, this goes back to the conversation. So everybody's going one way.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. All the people are leaving the hotel because of the fire alarm.
Yep.
But there's cops going a certain way. I think there's cops, but he's going a certain way, and then there's like a side part of the hotel. He's not going to go that way. He's not going to go to the side part. But he turns and he sees a car weirdly parked on its own with a woman in it. Now, I know it's a stretch, but I believe the reason he starts making his way down the side road to the hotel is because of what Neil told him in the coffee shop. He told him, I've got a woman. And I just think that Vincent thought, is that woman that he was talking about?
I don't think that's a stretch at all because I think that's exactly how he comes to the conclusion he comes to.
Because you see him because he's going one way and he stops and looks, sees the car with a woman sitting in it, and then he changes direction.
Yeah, but he had to figure how to get here anyway if he knows that Neil's here, and then that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because he said about, are you gonna walk out on her? And he was like, well, if I have to, that's the discipline. So he makes his way towards the car. When Neil comes out of the hotel, he makes his way towards the car, but he sees Vincent coming his way. He stops. They kind of see each other, and he turns and he runs with Vincent in pursuit. And this is where I really feel sorry for her.
She's standing there.
She sees the look in his face as if he's seen a ghost, and then she steps out of the car as if, what the fuck you do? Where are you going? What are you doing? And he doesn't say anything. Like he says in the conversation, you're not even going to stop to say goodbye. And he says, that's the discipline.
And he is disciplined because he doesn't. He everything he stood for, he's a man of his word. He did it.
But he hesitates.
He does hesitate.
The hesitating may have slowed him up.
It does, but he did say in 30 seconds or less, and he did not. It was 30 seconds or less, so he was within his time frame.
Yeah, dude, you're 100% right. 100% right. And her standing there, and then she's never met this guy Vincent, but he comes running past her, and she looks at him, and then he stops and he takes a shotgun from one of the cops. And he makes his way onto the airfield. Now, here's a note for you: heat and dog day afternoon both end at an airport.
That is
And
interesting, actually.
and Al Pacino survives both of them.
Good point. Another connection between these movies.
Yeah, and of course there's a shootout. Well, there's one person shot and killed as well on the airfield.
Yeah,
But
just one.
as you mentioned earlier, and I had this already in my notes, John, this a shootout ensues, but this is like a classic cowboy stuff.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one. Who's gonna get the better of the other one? And
And of course,
like when you watch for the first time, you don't really know, and that's what makes it so tense. This moment, obviously, we know after you've seen it multiple times, but this is great. Great stuff in here. How they're running. It's at night. The planes are taking off, so the audio becomes like you can't hear it. It overwhelms the audio. Then it gets quiet again. Great
yeah,
design of this.
just the lights coming on and off, and the
Mhm.
shadows, and those big containers that they're hiding behind. And as you say, all you can hear is the planes. There's no music, and I do. It's just one of the very few movies where you think the bad guy's going to win here, and maybe again, as I mentioned earlier, subconsciously, maybe I want him to win. Um,
I think you want him to because I want him to also, but we should know that he's not going to win when he leaves her. Like it should have been that should have been our tip that he's going to lose, that Pacino's going to end up winning because he is the bad guy and he
yeah,
already just abandoned the girl, so he's got no chance of like getting on that plane anymore, like that he's supposed to get on. Like it's too late. So I think that's the tip that he's not going to win.
yeah, and as I said earlier as well, this isn't to me. This doesn't feel like a Chris and Charlene situation. Like he says, I ain't ever going back. He can't go back to 80 either.
No,
And whereas I do feel in my mind's eye, like sometimes we talk about it in the rewatchables, what happens the next day. Yeah, I feel as if Chris and Charlene will reunite at some stage, but maybe not the next day, but later in the future, the child and everything together. So whereas these two will never be together ever. He's messed that up. But it's great. And that whole sound design, it just reminds me of, as I say, Dog Day Afternoon. The exact same thing with the noise of the planes, the no music, how tense it is, how it builds up. And of course, Neil basically has the drop on Vincent here, but once those lights come up, he can see Vincent, but he emerges from behind the container. It's the shadow that Vincent sees on the ground, which makes him be aware of where Neil is, and he turns. Now, I know we have to have a resolution here, and we know that Neil must die, but I feel as if Neil exposed himself too much here. I feel as if he didn't have to come right out behind the container like this.
No, I think he thought he had, like you said, he thought he had the drop on him, but he actually, unfortunately, one little mistake with the lighting kind of cost him.
Yeah, and of course, I have written here that Neil was too slow. Vincent turns and shoots, and yeah, that's the end of Neil. But
Well,
you
they
know,
have a little goodbye here. Like he said, I told you I'm not going back, and like they're holding each other's hands, essentially showing how these characters are interlinked, and like he's comforting him at the end because again, there's respect there.
well, he says to him earlier in the cafe, "If I have to take you out, I'm not going to like it." He doesn't like it.
Mm-mm.
He does. I think as well. He doesn't particularly like this either because there is a connection there. He sees himself in this guy. This guy just went down a different path. Like you say, there's an admiration, there's a respect. It's just so happens he's on the wrong side of the law. And I love the acting here from Pacino as well because you can tell that he is pained that he had to take this guy out. I suppose he looks at it that he forced him to do it. That's the way he's looking at it. Maybe there's a part of him hopes deep down that he didn't go after Wayne Grew and that he did just leave and they didn't meet ever again. But one thing I want to point out is how he starts walking towards Neil. You hear Moby's God moving over the face of the waters starting to play.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now that enhances the scene. Love this tune. Absolutely love it. But did you know that Elliot Goldenthal actually composed music for this scene?
and they didn't use it.
They didn't use it. And I love it. And before I knew that, it's in another movie. And I love this piece of music. It's at the end of Michael Collins.
Oh, good
It's,
movie.
it's called Coda, and it plays over the funeral scene at the end of Michael Collins. And I absolutely love it. Love that music. Years later, I found out that it was composed for Heat and was rejected for Moby's music. Now, I think you can go on and listen to. The version he does in Michael Collins, as far as I'm aware, was updated for Michael Collins. Michael Collins came out a year after this. It's changed a bit. The original version, I think, is on YouTube, and you can listen to it, and it sounds very similar to Moby, but it works. But I'm kind of glad they went with Moby because I think Moby works better, and I've got an amazing piece of music at the end of Michael Collins because I love Michael Collins, and it suits that movie as well.
So everything just kind of works out in the end, basically. Because yeah, I'm gonna have to go and look and see the actual original one, like kind of with that plugged in, and like kind of guess. I'm guessing that's what they did. They probably just like were like, hey, it works better with this, and like it probably
Yeah.
sucks to have to cut it, but it'd be like it worked out in the end. It's like I have this recorded. It's like okay, well we can reuse that. It's something similar that kind of happens in the Hateful Eight. They reuse an Amir Morricone song that was actually recorded for the thing, but it was cut, so they actually used it in the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, it's funny how composers reuse music, and funny enough, I actually, as you know, Elliot Goldenthal done Batman Forever in the same year, and I've just bought the expanded soundtrack for Batman Forever, and I haven't listened to it yet, but there's a piece of music in that. It's the scene where Robin steals the Batmobile,
Batmobile.
and it was used in a different movie. I can't remember. It says on it. It says on the back of it, and I can't remember what movie it was used for. But it was used for a different movie, and then he put it in that as well. So he's obviously just thought it was a piece of music that he wanted that he wanted to use. It's funny to me. It's just that scene at the end of Michael Collins made it. It's newsreel footage of Michael Collins's actual funeral, and then it goes into an epilogue about what happened in the ensuing years in Ireland, off the back of Irish independence and then the Civil War, up until the 60s. And he renamed it Funeral Coda, and it works perfect for that movie. So it's funny that he was able to recognize that a piece of music for somebody dying at the end of Heat would work just as well for a funeral. It's similar.
Yeah, it's the goodbye essentially.
It's the goodbye. It is, and I just love that. And let's say Vincent walks up, and that's when De Niro says to him, "I told you, never going back." And and Vincent just says, "Yeah." And that's when Neil puts his hand out, and Vincent takes it, and then Neil dies.
Great ending, and that's literally how they end the movie. Like that's it. Cut the credits. Like kind of like how a lot of '80s movies would end or '70s movies. Like once we've resolved all our issues, the movie's over.
Yeah, it's great. It goes into a Michael Mann film, and you've got that great Moby track playing. So I wouldn't change it. That track or anything like that. I know I rambled on there about Michael Collins and stuff like that, but it works perfect for both movies.
Well, that's why we split the show into two parts, is because there's a lot in here. Like this is a very dense movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very good film, and it also almost feels like, as we talk in the first part, it almost feels like it could be like a 3-part television series. It's very unconventional.
Oh, 100%. You brought that up in the first part about the one character and like what is his name? Dan Brennan or something? Bennin?
Don Breen.
Yeah, like his character, like that. If this was a miniseries, like he would get a whole episode dedicated to everything he went to.
Yeah, I feel as if Michael Mann didn't get his way. I mean, when the producer read the script, and because he wanted to make it he made it as we said, as a TV pilot, it didn't get picked up, right? And then somebody else, the producer read the script and went, "No, you're crazy. You need to make us into a movie." So it sounds as if Michael Mann got a lot of creative control, and I get a feeling that if I've had him with another studio, they would have went, "Well, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need this, and you can consolidate that. And the bank robbery should be the end, and they should be killed at the end once they rob the bank."
Yeah, they would never, no movie would ever let the bank robbery be like 3/4 of the way and then have a ton of flowing action leading up to this. It just wouldn't happen. This movie is structured very uniquely, and I think it's because Michael Mann is an auteur and they gave him a lot of freedom to make the kind of movie he wants to make. Because is this? I'm pretty sure this is the first movie he does after Last of the Mohegans, and that was a hit. So I imagine that he probably had like a lot of freedoms here.
Yeah, it feels like it. Even the stuff with like, you can call it melodrama or whatever, with his wife, Vincent with his wife and his stepdaughter. I just feel as if something like that may have been cut from the movie, or they wouldn't have let that happen towards the end. But it works because of the message it's trying to say about life and flawed characters, and
because that's really, we talked about
relationships.
the whole, because we talked about throughout the whole movie about like, the plot might not be the most interesting, it's the relationships between the characters. Like we care about the relationship between Neil and Vince, and that's why we end it on their relationship. We close out all of our relationships. We close out a relationship with Al Pacino and his wife, with the daughter of how we think that's going to end. We know how exactly what's going to happen with Charlene and Vince, Val Kilmer there. So everything we close out, we give them all the conclusions, but it's about the characters and their relationships and their lives, not necessarily about the bank robbery. And I feel like you're right. A
No.
studio exec would look at that and go, "This is a bank robbery movie. We need that bank robbery at the end." And like, it's like, well, you're missing the point of what this movie's really about.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to decisions. All comes down to the decisions and how that affects their relationships and their personal lives and the outcomes of the decisions they make. And I'm really interested in reading Heat 2, because, as I say, I believe it's a prequel sequel, and I think it does go into Chris's life, because after the events of this movie, because he's the only one, apart from obviously from Vincent, because Vincent's a good guy, but he's the only one of the bad guys that survives, isn't he?
Yeah, Michael dies there. Pretty much everyone's gone. Yeah, Don
Everybody's
died.
dead.
Trejo's gone. Yeah, Waingro died. Thank God. So yeah, everyone's gone.
Here, serial murders will stop now.
I wonder if the book explores the fact that Waingro was the serial killer. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I would love for example,
Like for Vincent to like realize like that's the person he's been hunting.
Yeah, and because they have his DNA, because it's mentioned in one of the scenes. So I seen a
Interesting
thing.
stuff.
I seen a thing recently that about a serial killer that was caught like nearly 50 years later
I wonder which
because
one.
because of DNA.
Yeah, I think I know which one that is. I think they explored that in Mindhunter, actually, that killer.
Yeah, well, he murdered a couple of young women in the early 70s, and then
Yeah,
he
that's
murdered another
definitely
one
definitely
recently.
that killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like in his 70s.
Yeah.
And the cop says to him, the cop basically said to him, what he just in the interrogation, like he caught himself in the end, but well, they knew because of DNA, but the cop basically says to him, I'm not asking you, did you do it? I'm asking you why you did it. In other words, I know it's you.
Yeah, like come on, this is obvious. And I think that guy finally, like, he's like, yeah, he got me now, kind of like, kind of at that point, at that age, it's like, yeah, okay.
Well, he tried to talk himself out of it. They brought another cop in, and when he realized that he was digging more holes for himself, he went, "Oh, I want a lawyer here." And I went, "Oh, you want a lawyer? No problem." They both got up and went, "Okay, no problem." Walked out straight out. Evan sitting on his own, got him a lawyer. Like, don't get me wrong, deserves everything. I think that at the end they said he died in prison because he was old anyway. He died a few years later in prison. He got life sentence and he died in prison. But I just think to myself, no, the first thing you should have done was get me a lawyer. Not go in there and start talking, because he made so many mistakes. Like, for example, they brought a picture of the girl that he killed in the early 70s and went, do you know her? And he started talking, oh, she looks like da, da, da. I mean, 50 years ago, could you
remember
imagine?
her? Yeah,
you remember? Yeah.
This one person that sticks out, the only reason you would remember that is because something happened that had to be significant to you, or otherwise, how many passing people.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be interesting in the Heat book if Vincent, if such as a prequel sequel, does it go into that kind of idea of that? Oh, this is our guy here. He was shot dead by Neil McCauley. This was the guy that was doing this.
Like, he actually gave us a gift. He actually got the guy I've been looking for at the very end. That'd be cool to explore that. I hope they explore that. But again, we don't know.
Don't know.
No. But, it was a great discussion on Heat, I think, over 2 parts. This is still one of my favorite movies, and I had a blast talking about it.
Yeah, so did I. Really enjoyed this one, John. And I don't know if I articulated it right in the first part, but as I said, this movie's it's been a slow burn on me over the years. And I just want to reiterate that I enjoy it more and more I watch it. And again, I think maybe it's just a maturity in me getting older, but I think it's just more of life experience and looking at these characters and realizing that whether you're a good person or you're a bad person, we all have flaws and nobody's perfect and life is hard, no matter who it is. Whether you're robbing banks, life's hard. Whether you're catching criminals, life's hard. And that's why I gravitate towards this, because I just love watching those characters try and kind of grapple with life.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this movie stand out too, is that it's human beings trying to navigate the worlds that they live in. At the end of the day, they're all still humans. No one's a black hat or white hat wearing. Everyone operates in that like middle gray area, and there's only little tweaks that kind of separate us from each other.
Yeah, and even the good guys say, talk about Vincent Hanna. Let's talk about the good guy. he's like he says himself in the cafe scene. My personal life's fucked up. You know what I mean? And he has nightmares, and you know what I mean. And just even the good guy is like totally and utterly kind of flawed. And as Al Pacino said himself, he's a cokehead as well.
Yeah, this guy's like going out there he's only taking the baddest of the best. Like he said, I'm not going to get them on freaking, on little robbery. So he probably doesn't even look at drugs as a big deal. He's like, I'm doing drugs. Who cares?
Yeah, that's can maybe be a coping mechanism for him. He has to have some kind of vice.
Yeah, well, this guy's like, he's an adrenaline junkie. I feel like cocaine would probably go hand in hand with that.
Yeah, I
If I
think you
had to
kind of
guess.
see that the scene where he's in the car chasing after Neil and shows you the lights kind of come past him. Although he's supposed to be going fast, but when I watching it again, I thought that's the drugs.
Yeah, I mean, he just got in a helicopter and then he's on this chase after just being from home. He definitely did a few lines in that situation.
It's probably why he was annoyed. There was none in the kitchen.
It's like, fine, I'll get caffeine then. Let's go get coffee if I can't get Coke.
Let's go get coffee.
Yeah, it's late. Why are you getting coffee? He's like, well, he doesn't care. He's going to be up all night.
Yeah.
So, but that's going to do it here for us guys on Heat Part 1 and Part 2. We hope you guys enjoyed it, but we are going to be moving on to something a little bit different than Heat after this one, don't you think, David?
Yeah, we're going to be going back to Roman times, and fighting it out with Gladiator.
A great character study as well.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. You get a good guy and a bad guy in this one that are very memorable.
Yeah, exactly. Another good versus evil story, and a story about betrayal and all the rest of it. And I think this will be the most modern movie we've done.
2000? Yeah, I think it might be. I'd have to go back and see what movies we've done, but I think this might be the first one we've done. Because we've never done The Dark Knight or anything like that, or any Nolan. I think this might be it.
Yeah, I don't think we've done anything in the 21st century.
No, I'm gonna have to check that. This is probably, you're right. This is the first film we've done with a 2 in front of it. Oh, wow,
That's
different
right.
for us. And we're going real. We're just stepping it. It's 2000.
Just about stepping in, anything older than that, I don't think.
So, well, we hope you guys enjoyed Bank Robbery July with Al Pacino, because I think we had a blast with it. So this is going to do it here for us on another episode of the Let's Talk Movies podcast. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and we'll be seeing you around.